Happy Thursday afternoon, everybody. Moni G. Yes, I'm live. Perfect timing. Hi Scott. Thank you for putting the link in for me as always. I had an interesting morning today. Listening to Baker go over Carrie Roberts' interview with some ridiculous I have no idea. I don't even have the words right now. And I do not want to snipe Baker's stream. But if I can find where that interview came from, holy shit, do I have a lot to say about that. Carrie Roberts is I don't even have a word for her. The amount of bullshit that is spewing out of her mouth in that interview is disgusting. Bitching and moaning about how women shouldn't be attacked and this and that, but has the nerve to call Karen Reed not human. She's a woman, is she not? Then has a fucking nerve to say, after all the years and trauma that Karen Reed has been through with that shit, has the nerve to say, oh, well, Karen Reed should have been on those steps saying that, people, we're just witnesses. They basically, Karen Reed should have stuck up for us on the stand. She don't give a fucking shit about you people who put her through this fucking trauma, who sat on that stand and laughed her ass off about telling her to shut the fuck up. Painting her out to be a fucking crazy person when she's grieving that morning, finding her boyfriend in the snow, as you put it, not sure if he's going to survive. She's freaking out like a normal person. But you thought it was fucking hilarious to tell her to shut the fuck up. And Karen Reed's the non-human? What? Holy Moni G, wait until you see this interview. I no joke. I will screen share it with you later. Like, if I can find it, I will go over some of it too. Like, but I am so, just from watching the bits and pieces that Baker showed, to talk about what things that she said. That's not, I barely seen the interview. I can't even imagine the shit she said that I haven't seen. Holy shit. She has some fucking nerve. After watching yesterday, being reminded how smug and arrogant Bukake was on the stand, and watching Carrie Roberts testify in both trials, the first one, she wasn't really cross-examined. Second one, she was, but you realize how many times they fucking not only lied on the stand, they had a script going, okay? They all used the same words, the same phrases, and watching these trials back to back has only made it that much more obvious. I was talking about that in Baker's chat this morning, ironically enough, with Chrissy Bacon, who I don't think realized, she said she didn't realize me watching them back to back and not having seen the first one. She appreciated the perspective I was giving, because I can't imagine having watched these trials a year apart. Watching them back to back, not having seen the first one, is like, I think people, especially people who are anti, or or maybe even aren't sure, should do this. It should almost be recommended before they are allowed to give an opinion. Because some of this stuff you don't even realize until you first seen them both. And then when you see them this close together, the script is the script, literally, that is written for these McAlberts and everyone else is so obvious when you watch these testimonies back to back like this, that from trial to trial, person to person, witness to witness, they use the same fucking phrases, same words over and over and over again. You can't miss it. Moni says, I love how being a witness makes you a victim. Give me a break. You became a person of interest when you conspired with the mean girls. If you told the truth and went away, she'd be gold. Exactly. But that's the point. She's still doing an interview. This is now almost a year after Karen was found not guilty twice. Okay, twice. She's doing another fucking interview. Why? Because she's an attention seeker. She wants this attention. Otherwise, she would go away. But then has the nerve to sit there and say, oh, she's the victim. Exactly. Like, oh my God, are you kidding me? You're a victim? It's disgusting. I cannot imagine if something like this, if something like Karen Reed went through happened to Carrie Roberts, what she would do then. If she's bitching and whining and moaning this hard over some protesting and some online scrutiny because she can't keep herself out of the spotlight online, what the hell would she call herself then? What's worse than a victim? Hey, Shelly. Moni says, why in the hell would she give any interviews? If you want to be low key, why thrust yourself in the spotlight? Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is she's still doing interviews a year later? She's been on the stupid foreskins. She's now been on this one. I don't even know who this chick is. Like I said, I gotta search for it, see if I can find the entire interview. But holy shit, she's doing this for a fucking reason. She wants to be the center of attention. I mean, and we can run down the list of all the shitty things that she has done. And she's bitching and moaning because she was called a cunt. I can think of worse things to be called than a see you next Tuesday, okay? I actually used to hate the word twat more than I hated the word cunt. And still, until I started watching Turtle Boy called Twitter twit twat. Now, the word twat doesn't even bother me. But this goes back to the point. If you're so much of a victim from all of this harassment that you're claiming you're suffering from, why do you keep putting yourself out there in the spotlight? Why do you keep saying things that you know is going to come back on you? No one goes in the public eye or does things like this unless you specifically want that fucking attention because you know you're going to get it. Never fails, Moni, putting a song in my head. But see, these are the things, watching this kind of shit is what truly pisses me off, and is when I'm like, dude, you want to hear my opinion on this shit? All right, let's go. Because this is a shit I could sit here and talk about for hours. Not just my opinion, but psychologically speaking, why people do this kind of shit. It's obvious to most people. But you do not have the right to put yourself on these kind of platforms, say the shit that you're saying, and then whine and bitch and moan about, oh, I'm being harassed. Well, when I only laugh at you guys when you do this kind of stuff when I'm in this kind of state, but thank you. I swear, I literally, you guys know when I have no words, when I get tongue tied, which is rare. When I get tongue tied, you know that my head is spinning. The bullshit that she has spewed over the last couple years, and then has the nerve to say the shit that she said in this interview. It, it's beyond disgusting. Anyways, I had to get that out. So thank you for listening. I just ugh. Trying to even like I can't even at this point remember um too many of the actual points besides the ones I've already mentioned that Baker went over, but I can only imagine what else she said. And I'm definitely interested in finding this interview because if I do, I will gladly go over it and share my real-time opinion about the shit she says because woo-wee, I'm sure I would have a lot to say to the rest of it. There are certain shades of limelight that can wreck a girl's complexion. Holly Golightly, Breakfast at Tiffany's. Yes, it's a perfect quote. Truly is. But she don't care. Because as much as she sits there and wants to whine about the harassment, it obviously isn't bothering her, or else she wouldn't keep doing this shit. It's all for the attention. Same with 5150. This is all attention seeking behavior. Because if they truly hated it, if they truly meant that it was hurtful to them or somehow harming them mentally, physically, whatever, they wouldn't continue to seek it out. This is how they thrive. They thrive on this shit. The people that do this kind of shit, they thrive on the attention. No matter if it's negative or positive, it doesn't matter to them. So saying that it's hurtful or whatever to her is just another one of her lies. End of story. Well, with that being off my chest a little bit, anyways, we are getting back into the ridiculously long testimony of Yuri Bukhenik, aka Bukake. We left off yesterday in the start of AJ's cross examination and Karen Reed trial 2. That's where we are going to pick up today. I think I had it on 1.25, so we're going to start there. If it ends up being too fast, I will slow it down. Here we go.
So I can't tell you that he was the author. Like what you presented, I can't speak to.
You just made my point. Even as a supervisor, you don't know everything about what was doing.
It's impossible to know everything somebody was doing.
Got it. Especially the case officer on this case, as busy as he was, right?
I'm sorry?
Especially the case officer on this case, as busy as he was, Michael Proctor, right?
He was keeping us and his supervisors abreast of what was happening, the next step, the search warrants he was writing, the evidence that was being collected, the interviews that are being conducted, court dates and motions and stuff like that.
So he would do the work and then keep you, as you, the word you just used, keep you abreast of that work.
Right, unless I was involved with the investigation myself. We did a ton of interviews together, as I authored some of these reports as well. I said there was 100+ reports.
Sir, you were notified on January 29th, 2022, that a Boston police officer was found gravely injured in front of 34 Fairview in the lawn, in the yard, correct?
No, that is not correct.
What were you notified of?
When the notification came in, it was that there was a male party found in the snowbank.
At some point, you learned that male party is John O'Keefe, a police officer, correct?
At some point, we did learn that he was a Boston police officer.
Matter of fact, you learned that morning. May not have been first notification, but certainly early that morning, you knew that John O'Keefe was a Boston police officer.
At some point, we learned. I don't remember exactly when. If it was morning, just after 12, I don't know when, but we did learn that he was a
Okay, just to let you know, I have found the interview. The entire interview is an hour and a half by a YouTube channel called Note My Objection. It already has 2,000 views and was just released 6 hours ago. So, if you guys are interested in watching it, I will mention it again when more people get here. If anybody else wants to watch Bukake today and joins us, I will mention it again. If you guys want me to go over it, I certainly will. Later today, I will schedule a different live to get my petty on, because this kind of shit, as much as I hate giving attention seekers attention, my channel is small enough where, first of all, I don't think that she'd see it. Second of all, it still should be talked about, and other people should be aware of this behavior. So, that being said, I will definitely think about doing that later today.
Boston police officer.
And I'm not asking about what Proctor learned, but what you learned. You learned that he was a Boston police officer, correct?
At some point, I learned that he was a Boston police officer.
Hey, Diane G, how are you? I was just, if you missed it, we just started Bukake's testimony, but I was watching Baker go over Carrie Roberts' interview, and oh my God, I had a lot to say, and I think I'm going to be getting my petty on later going over that shit, because she's just ridiculous. Ugh. Anyways, here we go. Sorry, I can't help it. People like that just piss me off to no end. It's disgusting behavior. Ugh. You hear me? Okay, you get it. I know you guys get it, because you guys do that. You know, this is why I love the Chat Rats chat, you know, because just need to get shit off our chest sometimes. I'm telling you. What the few things that I saw Baker go over, holy fuck. Like, the insane things that come out of her mouth and the whining and the woe is me bullshit afterwards. Ugh. All I can say is ugh. But back to why we're here this afternoon. While I get that nasty taste of that, what I did see of that interview out of my mouth. We are going back to this smug, arrogant asshole. But at least we get to enjoy AJ. Hey, Nefarious. Chastity. Hey, guys. Aw, you're so sweet. I didn't really laugh much for the first 15 minutes. I was going over Baker. Going over what he was going over, really. The bits and pieces of Carrie Roberts' interview that I had the unpleasant honor of seeing this morning. Ugh. Seriously. I have some serious issues with that woman and the ridiculous attention-seeking behavior that she displays. That she constantly says, I'm being harassed. But then goes on this and does these interviews constantly. Because she fucking wants the fucking attention. Hey everyone. Side eyes. Hey sweetie. I know you guys, you have no idea. It makes me smile. You guys love my laugh. I hate it. I hate my laugh. I hate the sound of my voice. But you guys, at least you guys make me feel good, and my heart warms up when you say stuff like that. So I do appreciate it. I really, really do. Maybe we should have a palate cleanser as we did yesterday. Before, in between that bullshit I listened to come out of Carrie Roberts' mouth, and before we listen to the bullshit that's going to come out of Bukake's mouth, we should probably take a little bit of a palate cleanser and get our laugh on. So bear with me a moment. This never fails to make me laugh ridiculously a lot.
What the fuck is this thing? What is this thing? So I'm gonna have sex with this thing tonight, okay? And we're gonna reenact the butt dial. Because again, we're gonna give them the benefit of the doubt that maybe that they're telling the truth about this. I entered someone into my phone as Higgins, and we're gonna see if we can call them.
Oh, you guys are awesome.
While taking the pounder, and we'll try different positions too.
When he was first confronted, Brian Higgins first tried to claim that it had to have been a butt dial. That term butt dial is used by many of the Commonwealth's witnesses to explain the many calls between them and among them. And I've never seen a case where there have been so many butt dials, to be frank.
So,
but Mr. Higgins was already locked in. He already testified his phone was on the bedside table. His butt was in the bed, the phone was in the table. This is a quote. The two could not have met, Your Honor. There was no possibility of a butt dial. Also, first tried to claim that his phone call to Brian Higgins at 2:22 in the morning was a butt dial.
Okay.
He said that he was awake and watching TV, but he was called back to the grand jury to testify a second time. The second time, Brian Albert changed his testimony. That at 2:22 in the morning, he and his wife were in bed in an intimate situation. He claimed that he had his phone with him in the bed. So now he's claiming that it was during that intimate situation with his wife that he supposedly butt dialed Brian Higgins.
Okay.
He had no explanation, however, for how his phone picked up when Higgins called him back 17 seconds later. He had no explanation for the 22-second phone conversation that followed. And it's worth noting that Higgins testified he never heard any intimate noises on the other end of the line either.
Well, in fairness, Brian Albert doesn't seem like the kind of guy that can make a woman come, but that's different. That's not a different story. Is there any truth to this? I don't know. So okay. So this is Nicole Albert.
Raggedy Ann doll every time I watch this.
Okay. So we've been drinking all day and, we've been married for 30 whatever years and you probably have mistresses on the side or whatever and we're swinging, but you need to fuck me right now, Brian. Fuck me. Fuck me, Ryan. Come on, let's go. I want to fuck right now. It's 2:30 in the morning. I don't care how drunk you are. Get your dick up and let's fucking go. Fuck me. Okay, sorry. Okay. So, well, let me just check my phone over here. Okay. So then Nicole's going to come, and I guess the phone here. Okay. So then he's going to start off missionary. So he's, yeah, fuck me. Yeah. Okay. And then the phone is on Nicole's ass. Yeah, giving it to her. Good. Yeah, give it. Yeah, you like that. Yeah, fucking fugitive unit. Yeah, you like that. You saw me on Boston Confidential, didn't you? You like that, huh? You like that, huh? And then okay, so let's see if I could call Higgins here. Let's see what happens. Right, let's go. Yeah. Dude, I can't even get to the passcode part. Yeah, you like that? Oh, you're a naughty girl, aren't you? You're a naughty girl. Yeah, you like that, huh? Huh? Yeah, I bet you do. Bet you fucking do. I can't even get to the passcode part. I can't even do it. So now we'll do role reverse. So then she's gonna ride me this time. This can't be the first one. So now she's gonna jump on me, and all right, we're gonna go like this. So the phone's on the butt. Yeah, you like that? I'm in the gang unit. Yeah. I got a bald head. I shaved my head. You like that? Oh yeah, Brian. Oh yeah, it's so hot. And I don't know. Okay. Didn't work. Didn't call Higgins. Okay. Now, could Siri do it? So we'll do it like this. All right. Oh yeah, Brian. Siri, call Higgins. Didn't work. Actually, it did. That worked. That actually worked. Maybe Siri did it. I don't know. This is investigative journalism here, right, folks?
That's investigative journalism, folks. Never ceases to make me laugh so fucking hard. The phone would have refused to let her call go through at that point. It was so ashamed. Is that how you do the smex? Yeah, Baker, I know that you're a 27-year-old virgin and you know about the storks and all, but I don't think Turtle Boy should be the one to teach you about the smex. I'm just saying. Did Raggedy Ann get reverse cowgirl before? That poor doll has been through so much trauma. Shelly says nefarious. She sure did. I can't. It's like the most perfect thing to get your laugh on for the day, which is why I call it my palate cleanser between the disgusting display of so-called humanity from Carrie Roberts to this disgusting display of humanity in a law enforcement officer we're about to watch. So if we need another laugh break, please tell me. He's only done smacks with an actual stork. I'll never forget the day that I asked Baker, I said, don't you have 2 kids? And I got this, well, I know it has something to do with the stork. I was like, oh, I gotcha. You don't like poultry. Oh. Well, I guess I hope your wife or girlfriend does, I guess. I don't know. I don't have a good response for that one, Baker. All right, so now that we got our laugh on for a few minutes, because I'd love to sit here and laugh with you guys all afternoon, as you guys know. But I am doing this for a purpose. And Bukake's testimony is ridiculously long and obnoxious and all of the above. So we are going to get back into Bukake, but we will constantly take breaks because of the sheer length and sheer smug arrogance on this guy's fucking face all the time. We're definitely going to need some breaks. So we will definitely take some today. Hey, Kazi G. What's up? Chastity says, what's pathetic is that testing had more validity and reliability than Welcher's kindergarten finger painting cosplay project. Yes. Oh, I have lots to say and have had lots to say about that ridiculous kindergarten blue paint experiment they had going on. Holy shit. I'll never forget watching so just in case anyone that's new doesn't know that I did not see the first trial before seeing the second one, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing. So not only watching these two trials back to back, do you see the script so much more obvious? But you also now, in watching trial 2, immediately upon having seen trial 1, you see trial 2 in a completely different light. At least I do. Like certain things being said, certain things being the way that they're said. It's a completely different experience than watching trial 2 the first time. Uh-oh. Chastity says, nefarious, don't say that out loud. The elite cyber koalas will hear you. She'll be jealous. But I did yesterday when I was watching this one, I couldn't stop. I didn't realize this. I mean, I think I did notice this looking back when I watched trial 2. I did notice like his facial expressions, but I don't think it truly like registered or bothered me as much. That's one of the main things I've noticed with watching Bukake this time. The constant smirking, the constant smiling, the what's the word I'm looking for? He's almost patronizing to the court system and to Alan Jackson especially. It's disgusting that this kind of person not only is a law enforcement officer, but is in charge. He's a sergeant. This is who trains. And then you wonder why the fucking incoming law enforcement officers, troopers, whatever, end up just like him. This is why they chose this guy as a leader. He is smug as fuck. I seriously implore you, as you're watching this, watch his facial expressions. The smirks are nonstop. It's like, is this a fucking joke? A woman's life is on the line. Not to mention, you investigated the death of a fellow officer, and you're treating this as if it's a fucking joke. Chad says he was way more arrogant this time. I call it acting like the king shit of fuck mountain. Yes. Definitely was worse the second time around. But that's what I'm saying. Watching these back to back, you do see the differences. and you do see the script. Like it's almost the opposite of Jen McCabe, where Jen McCabe was more snotty and quick to jump back during her cross-examination, where second trial, she still did those things, but she was almost tranked out. She was still doing it, but way less of a like lower scale. And that's why I mentioned several times during her testimony that I thought she was on a benzo. And several people actually agreed with me, because she did tone it way down, almost to where I thought she was not only coached, but that she was being coached in the courtroom, because you could literally see her like stop herself. She was about to go off almost, and then she'd stop. Like someone was like raising their hand, like, shut up, sit down and shut the fuck up. Now, the opposite is true for Bukake, because this time he's just like, he don't give a fuck. He says and acts like this is one big joke. All right, so that being said, here we go.
Yes.
And on January 29th, did you ever respond to 34 Fairview Road at any time?
On January 29th, 2022, at no point in time did I or Michael Proctor, who was with me the whole time, ever respond to 34 Fairview Road.
So the answer to my question very simply is no, right?
That's correct.
You just answered this question as well, but I want to make sure we're absolutely clear. You're on merit, Coach. I don't want that dagger to be in this way. At no point on January 29th, 2022, did Michael Proctor respond to 34 Fairview either, did he?
No, he did not.
You already indicated and you described in some detail that Massachusetts State Police took over the investigation from Canton Police Department around 8 or 9 a.m., correct? They're following certain protocols.
Yes, at some point in the morning, once it was determined that Mr. O'Keefe was gravely injured and was being transported to the hospital with no signs of life, and we were advised that he had an estimated 10% of survival rate, we engaged our services and responded to Canton Police to begin the investigation.
So the answer to that question is yes, correct?
Yes.
You'll often work with a local police agency, even though Massachusetts State Police may have statutory jurisdiction over the case because it's a homicide, right?
Yes, part of our mission is to aid and assist local police departments when they request it. In this specific situation, as I stated earlier, the DA's office has exclusive jurisdiction over death investigations, and our office has that responsibility of investigating those cases. But we work very well with local departments.
So the answer to that question is yes.
He can never answer the fucking question.
If you can answer my question yes or no, this will go a lot faster. In this case, even though you oftentimes work with local law enforcement agencies, it was determined that you would not continue working with Canton PD because of a conflict or the perception of a potential conflict.
That's another issue, I'm sure you guys all know, that the more you have to explain your answer, the same thing happened the other day, as we know, when 5150 testified. Okay? The more you answer a question with an explanation instead of just a fucking answer, the more guilty and ridiculous you look. And him and Jen McCabe are the worst at it. They can't ever answer the fucking question.
Of interest, correct?
To alleviate any perception, not that one existed, the Canton Police Department recused themselves from being involved in the interview portion of the investigation.
And that's in no small part because the lawn on which Mr. O'Keefe was found belongs to to Brian Albert, and Kevin Albert, Brian Albert's brother, worked as a detective at Canton Police Department, correct?
That was my understanding why they chose to take those steps.
Your first documented action in this case was to call the medical examiner's office. First documented action. Not the first thing you did, but the first thing that you documented that you did was to call the medical examiner's office at about 10:41 a.m., correct?
In what respect are you saying first documented action?
There's a report where we can look at the earliest thing that you did, and it's actually written down and documented. You know what I mean by documented? Written on a piece of paper.
In that respect of documentation, I would have to look into it. I believe there was something probably before that, since there was a documentation of us getting notified of the incident.
At 10:41, let me just ask it a little bit more straightforward if I can. Get to the point. At 10:41 a.m., you called the medical examiner's office to inform them that Mr. O'Keefe, quote, was struck in the face with a cocktail glass, or at least appeared to be, correct?
That is in part what I advised the medical examiner's office, where they are responsible for the medical portion of.
Objection, Your Honor. May we approach briefly?
Yeah. Cassie, I have to say this exactly. She says he served a lot of word salad for someone who also needed a dictionary. And the worst part about that is he is the first one in his testimony to use the word theory. He used that word first. And then later on, Alan Jackson asks him a question involving the word theory. Do you know what a theory is? And that's when he comes back with that smart ass remark. Well, English is my third language, so if you want to bring me a Webster's dictionary, are you fucking kidding me right now? You already used that word and now you're going to pretend that you don't know what the fuck it means? Bullshit. Moni G says, but I realized while watching these trials, we all should answer the cops' questions the same way the cops testify. Say nothing. Yeah, he plays dumb. Exactly. And that's the thing. Is he that stupid that he doesn't realize how dumb he actually looks by doing that? They look worse the more they do this shit.
So, Sergeant, I'm going to ask you to do your best to answer the question that's asked.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you contact the medical examiner's office in the morning of January 29th, 2022?
Yes.
And did you state to them that there was a possibility that the decedent, Johnny Keith, was struck in the face with a cocktail?
Hey, Yummy.
I don't recall my words exactly, but that sounds accurate to what I might have said.
At least your initial investigation during those early morning hours or those critical hours led you to believe at least that there was a possibility that there was a physical altercation, correct?
Yeah.
What steps did you take at that moment to determine whether or not anybody in the house may have been involved in that physical altercation that you thought was a possibility?
That's a compound question. I have to answer it separately.
Answer it however you want to. It's an open-ended question, which is unlike me. What steps did you take to, at that moment, to determine whether or not anybody in the house could have been involved in that possible physical altercation that you just described?
We interviewed the homeowner and two witnesses that were in that house.
You never went into the house, did you? On January 29th, at least.
I personally did not go in the house.
You did not secure that house or remove the occupants, did you?
Which day?
January 29th. I'm talking about the morning of January 29th.
I did not know.
You did not secure the yard as a crime scene, correct?
That's correct.
You didn't conduct any search of that house.
No, I did not.
You didn't take any photographs of the interior of that house.
I did not.
You didn't ask a forensic criminalist to join you and process the house, correct?
That is correct.
You didn't set up a crime scene log to determine who is coming in and going out of the potential crime scene.
I did not.
No one actually documented the crime scene by taking contextual photographs and then close-up photographs, etc., during those early morning hours, correct?
I cannot speak to that. I was not there.
So the answer is you didn't do that. And you didn't cause that to be done.
I did not do that.
Crime scene services section, what is that?
It's a unit, specialized unit on the state police. They are specially trained with documentation, photographs, video, latent fingerprints, foot and tire impressions, footwear and tire impressions. They assist other investigators in documenting and processing scenes.
Did you contact CSSS to process the house or the yard or the area adjacent to the yard?
Which house, sir?
34 Fairview,
Oh
Sergeant
my
Bukake.
God.
You think I was talking about a different house?
Yes, I did.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Let's stick with 34 Fairview, where John O'Keefe's body was found. Did you call CSSS out to the scene to process that house?
I did not contact crime scene services on January 29th to the area of 34 Fairview Road to the lawn where John O'Keefe's body was found.
You mentioned that you conducted interviews that day, correct?
That's correct.
Where were those interviews conducted?
The first interview was conducted at Canton Police Department. The second, third, and fourth were conducted at a residence in Canton. The
What was the
fifth,
I'm sorry, what was the first interview at Canton Police Department that morning?
Sergeant Good.
So other than Sergeant Good, I'm talking about civilian witnesses. You mentioned 3 civilian witnesses. Where were those 3 witnesses interviewed?
At a residence in Canton.
But not at 34 Fairview, just to be clear.
They were not at 34 Fairview, no.
They had been at 34 Fairview, though, hadn't they? All 3 of them.
Yes, they had.
As a matter of fact, Michael Proctor spoke to Mark in this moment while she was at 34 Fairview, correct?
I don't know.
Weren't you with Michael Proctor when he spoke to Jennifer McCabe?
Which time, sir?
The first time he called her to set up the interview that morning on January 29th.
I don't know where Jennifer McCabe was. I can't testify to that. I have no idea.
So if that call was made, if she talked about that call being made, that was made by Michael Proctor, not by outside of your presence.
Can you repeat that?
Sure. If there was a call made to Jennifer McCabe by Michael Proctor that morning, that was outside your presence.
Not necessarily. I just did not know where she was.
So the only 3 people you interviewed were Jennifer McCabe, Matt McCabe, and Brian Albert, correct?
Not correct.
Who else?
The defendant.
Other than Miss Reed, and before you got to Miss Reed, because you didn't get to Miss Reed till 3:34, correct? In the afternoon.
I don't know exactly what time we began the conversation.
I'm talking about in the morning when you were trying to figure out what was going on. You interviewed 3 people,
Yes, we did.
3 civilians.
At one point, we interviewed 3 civilians, the homeowner at 34 Fairview Road, and 2 witnesses that were with Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant the night prior, and then one of the witnesses that was with the defendant when Mr. O'Keefe was discovered.
And these are individuals that you made the assessment had either been with or shortly been with at the time shortly before he was last seen alive, correct?
Based on the information that we had at that time, one of the individuals was with him right before he was seen alive, and the other 2, one of the individuals was with him right before he was last seen alive, and 2 of the individuals saw the defendant and Mr. O'Keefe together.
And those same 2 individuals were also with Mr. O'Keefe just minutes before he was last seen alive. Correct?
All 3 of the individuals were with Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant at Waterfall, yes.
And all 3 of the individuals were also at 34 Fairview when Mr. O'Keefe arrived. You had that information, didn't you?
We did not have information of Mr. O'Keefe arriving at the house. He was dropped off on the lawn.
And all 3 people, all 3 were either named McCabe or Albert. Those are the 3 people you had information from, correct?
Which information? We had information for a lot of different sources at that point in time.
I'm talking about the first 3 interviews that you did, the first 3 civilian interviews you did that morning. Still on the same thing. You mentioned talking to 3 people at a residence in Canton. Brian Albert, Jim McCabe, Matt McCabe. All 3 were at 34 Fairview when they indicated John O'Keefe arrived in an SUV. They all told you that, right?
They were inside the home when the defendant and Mr. O'Keefe arrived in the SUV.
These are the very people that would have a motive to lie if they were somehow involved, right?
Can you answer that, Sergeant?
No, Your Honor.
Yes, he can.
You're a
He just
professional
doesn't want to.
Correct?
That's correct.
Homicide investigator, right?
That's correct.
Many years of experience, right? Say yes?
I don't know what many means to you, but
Let me look at how many years
Of course.
in homicide,
Well,
10 next
Alan
week.
Jackson.
That's not many.
I didn't answer the first time because I don't know what you would think many is.
Right. Suspects ever lied to you?
Yes,
Goes with the laughing and the smugness.
Okay.
Hey, James.
all the time is not accurate. They lie about certain things
Hey, hippie
to
tip.
create an alibi for themselves and state contradicting facts or fabricated stories.
And if someone
All the
has,
time would mean that they're constantly lying about everything.
do you understand the colloquialism all the time?
I
Suspects.
do not know the term colloquialism.
Don't
Okay,
work
let's
too
try it a
hard,
different
hippie
way.
chick.
If these three individuals were involved in the death of John O'Keefe, or knew others who were involved in the death of John O'Keefe, who they were close to, they would have a motive to lie about that, correct?
Gotcha.
Yes.
But you took these three individuals just at their word, based on those first three interviews, correct?
No, not correct.
You didn't go in the house. You didn't search the house. We've already talked about that, right?
I did not go into 34 Fairview. No, I did not.
You didn't ask
Wait,
them to
which
come to the
means
station,
you
correct?
took their word for
That's
it.
correct. I did.
This is, I swear to God. See, I didn't have this visceral reaction when I watched the second trial the first time because I didn't have the knowledge that I needed to have to watch it truly. So, in watching this again, the visceral reaction, the knot in my stomach, the nausea this testimony causes is insane. This is a sergeant, a leader in law enforcement doing this bullshit. That alone should disgust everyone.
Not ask them to come to the station.
As a matter of fact, when you went to interview Jennifer Bukake at her home, Brian Albert happened to be there, right?
He was there, and I was able to conduct the interview at the house with Brian Albert. Yes.
Did you find that odd?
Absolutely not.
Totally normal for you to conduct a formal interview in a homicide case and have an extra person show up at the house just to be there?
Absolutely. Cooperating witnesses always try and be assisting. So cooperating witnesses would assist us.
You use the word always. You don't know what all the time means.
What?
They always try to be assistant.
Well, they're cooperating. It's in the nature.
They always. Right.
Okay, maybe I misspoke. They are cooperating witnesses. So always is such a finite, definitive statement. I apologize for using it.
And if an investigator were keeping an open mind, right, open to all possibilities at the beginning of the investigation, someone that you now are calling a cooperating witness might well be a suspect who's lying, correct?
Yes,
That's a possibility.
That is a possibility, yes.
Exactly. But yet, you took their word for everything they said.
I want to shift gears for a second, Sergeant Bukhenik, and ask you about some of the physical evidence in the case. You and Mr. Proctor collected the gray sweatshirt and the orange t-shirt that we saw entered into evidence today, correct?
That's correct.
You talked about finding that evidence at Good Samaritan Hospital, is that right?
That is where it was seized from, yes.
You described it as being on the floor, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Where on the floor was it when you first saw it? Is it on the hospital floor, not the ambulance floor, correct?
When I first saw it, it was on the hospital floor, correct?
All right.
Yes.
Take a look at that photograph, please.
Yes.
Do you recognize that, sir?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize it?
It's one of the photographs taken from Mr. O'Keefe's emergency department room.
Do you recognize the shirt or shirts that you earlier described as being in that photograph?
There is an orange shirt depicted on the floor to the left side. Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask that be marked and entered in evidence. Okay. Well, that's being marked. Let me approach it very briefly. Your Honor, with permission, may I publish?
Yes.
Sergeant Bukhenik, this is Exhibit 110. You just mentioned seeing an orange shirt. Do you have a laser pointer with you? If you don't, I can grab you one.
I do.
Can you point for the jurors where you were describing the orange? Just pick whichever TV you want to use.
Yes.
It did. Yes.
Tell me what TV you're going to look at so the jurors understand and can follow.
I'll do the one to my right so the jurors can see. There is something orange right there on the floor.
Does that appear to be on top of something darker?
It does appear to be on top of possibly a darker item of clothing, possibly the jeans. I'm not sure exactly from here what that is.
Do you believe as you sit here, and I'm asking it open because I don't know what the answer is. Do you believe as you sit here that that's the orange shirt and or the gray sweatshirt and or the jeans?
If we can zoom in, I could probably pick out the pattern. So from here, it looks like it's a cut fabric, indicating that it most likely is the orange shirt. The jeans, you can see the belt loop through the jeans on the left side. I would say that is Mr. O'Keefe's clothing that we picked up and bagged.
Okay, if you could unzoom that for me. One more question. You see Mr. O'Keefe's left leg and right leg from about the little lower than mid-thigh down, correct?
Mid-thigh down, I see his legs, yes.
Okay, you see his right knee?
The interior portion of it, yes.
Okay, do you see any scrapes or marks or cuts or abrasions on that right knee?
Not from this point, no.
Thank you, we can take that down. May I approach?
Yes.
Oh, the laser point? Which one? I think it's this one. They're both the same.
I have one more question on that photo. Sorry about that. Can we display the photo one more time, Ms. Johnson? We don't need to turn the lights off. Take a look to the left. Could you zoom in on the chair? Do you see that item sitting on the chair, Sergeant?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
That is either mine or Michael Proctor's notepad binder.
Thank you. We can take that down. Concerning the two shirts that you earlier testified to as being sopping wet, did you bag those shirts? Well, did you bag those shirts or did Michael Proctor bag those shirts?
We bagged them together. If my memory is not failing me, I believe he picked it up and I held the bag open. But I could be wrong. Maybe I picked it up and he held the bag open.
That's fine. The two of you together got them in a bag.
Yes.
Was it a paper bag or a plastic bag?
It was a large paper bag, the size of like a lawn leaf bag you would get for disposing your yard waste.
Okay. Is it specifically an evidence bag or was it something that y'all came up with on the spot?
It's a bag that was provided by Crime Scene Services.
Okay. So it's an official law enforcement type bag. What, a grocery bag?
It was not a grocery bag. It was a large bag.
Okay. Understood. Did both shirts go in the same bag?
All the clothing items that were in the pile went into the same bag.
Does that include the jeans and belt and boxer shorts?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. You went from Good Samaritan, straight to Dighton, correct?
Yes.
And you are the one that put the bag in your the super cab of your pickup truck?
Yes.
And then from Dighton, you went over to Canton PD. Is that right?
Yes, we did.
And then from Canton PD, ultimately, before the night was out, you ended up back at the Norfolk DA's office, which is where you and Michael Proctor officed at the time, correct?
Yes.
When exactly, if you recall, did you lay out the clothing? You indicated it was sopping wet. You laid it out on a butcher paper. When was that?
It was during the evening hours once we arrived to the Canton office.
It was about 10 p.m., I'm guessing?
No, it was before that.
It was before 10?
Yes.
Just a moment.
Yes.
Sergeant, I just want to get the record as clear as possible. Did you testify at a hearing last year, the proceeding last year here in this courtroom, that it was about 10 o'clock at night when you finally got the clothing laid out on the butcher paper?
Based on the context on the question, I might have estimated it to be around 10. I would have to take a look at the exact language being used.
That's it. I'm not trying to hold you to anything. I just want to make sure we get it as clear as possible. Mayor Coach?
Yes.
I like the question, sir. Mayor Coach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Sergeant, does that refresh your recollections to about the time that you ended up at the office to lay out those items on the butcher paper?
That refreshes my memory to my testimony prior.
And that was about your prior testimony. It was about 10 p.m.
When asked about what time the items were laid out, I indicated previously it was 10 o'clock approximately.
You didn't stay there all night with those clothes.
No, I did not.
You left the clothes with Michael Proctor, did you not?
I can't testify to leaving them, quote unquote, with Michael Proctor. We laid them out together in the drying area on the butcher paper. And then at some point I secured from the office. I don't have a memory if he left with me or if he remained to do additional tasks in the office too. No.
You indicated.
I'm going to read this comment by Yummy. She asks, do you guys think we'll ever know what happened that night, or some remnants of what happened that night? My opinion on that is no. Unless someone comes forward and spills all the secrets, I don't think we'll ever truly know. In all honesty, because oh, you're good, Yummy, don't worry. I type and I constantly screw up, so have no worries about typos. I try to figure them out, so no worries. Me and my short fat fingers and bad relationship with autocorrect, trust me, I get it. But my opinion is truly, I don't think that we'll ever know. I don't think that there will ever be enough evidence to put someone in jail. Even if someone were to come forward and confess to something, I don't think that they'd have enough, because the cops right from the beginning botched this entire fucking thing. No matter who they tried to take to court, the evidence handling, first and foremost, there's issues with it from the very beginning. So if somebody decides to flip and say what exactly happened, we might know, but I truly don't think that will ever happen. And I definitely don't think they'll ever be able to convict anyone. James says, I don't think so, but who knows? It's definitely true. I mean, you never know. There could be something that the feds have that no one knows about. Who knows? But I just think they just screwed too many things up from the beginning. Moni says, oh my gosh, I'm watching these trial Tigers play on local channel 2, and they have the Spanish radio callers in the background. This is outrageous. I'm listening to you in my ear. You've got too much shit going on, Moni G. Yummy says, me too. It's so sad. It is really sad. And that's why I get so pissed off watching people like him testify like this is a joke. To make the snide remarks that he makes and the smirks that he constantly has on his face. It's like he doesn't even care that an officer has lost his life. A human being has lost their life. That shouldn't matter. Hi, Miss Debates. She says, most, if not all of the evidence has been destroyed or disposed of. Oh my God, I didn't know that. And Moni G says, I don't think we'll ever know, but I hope someone has a conscience and flips. Yeah, it would be nice, but I don't see any one of them doing that. I just don't. He is a disgrace. I agree. Miss Debate says the only hope is that as pressure builds as it comes to trial that someone flips. Yeah, I mean it's like I said, the law enforcement tried to pin it on Karen Read with the evidence that they had. It didn't work. Twice, it didn't work. We know John O'Keefe was not hit by a car. So someone in that house is responsible, if not more one than one. But that's all that we can know at this point. Everything else is conjecture, opinions, based on what else we see and have seen through the trials. I do have the Google Drive of evidence that's been slowly released. I've gone through some of it. There are things that people are catching, but as far as I've seen, it's nothing near enough to get someone else in front of a judge or a jury. He is an embarrassment to the force, that's for sure. Moni G says perhaps an officer that was stirring up some internal stuff like PDF cops. Yeah, I mean, there's so much shit, corruption. It's absolutely disgusting. Yeah. Okay, Nefarious, be careful driving, sweetie. Yumi says you have to wonder how their mental health is dealing with this secret day in day. Yeah, you know, it depends on the type of person they are, as we can see, and as I stated earlier, with my regards to Carrie Roberts, no less, who, unfortunately, we do know didn't have anything to do with his actual death. But whether she knows anything after the fact or not, or was just completely manipulated by Jen McCabe after the fact, the point with that is she is attention seeking. She is doing everything she can to play a victim when she is no victim. And the rest of them, I mean, let's just put it this way. We know Jen McCabe didn't sleep at all that night, right? Isn't that what her health data showed? But how she sleeps since then, who knows? I'm sure that they've all rationalized it. They've all made peace with it somehow. They've all decided that they're the victim. So I have a feeling they sleep fine, which is really, really sick and sad. Moni G says there's a part of me that thinks there was more nefarious actions afoot. Yeah. I mean, I've stated my opinion on the matter. I go back and forth as who I think was actually there when John hit his head. But I don't think that anything was done with intent to actually kill him. I think it was an accident. it was a fight that went too far or just had an unfortunate outcome, as fights don't normally end in death. They may end in some bruising, some bruised egos and such. But when you hit your head just the right spot, unfortunately, these things can happen. Which is why the minute you decide to throw a punch, you better be okay with the consequences. Miss Debate says, Nicole Albert, she loves to clean, is the weakest link. I don't disagree. However, with her mental, the mental control that Brian Albert has over her, I mean, could you imagine being married to that? And then she has to think about her kids, right? So they have what, 4 kids? While she may technically be the weakest link, I actually don't think she would flip at all unless somehow Brian was out of the picture. She's been controlled too much for too long. You can see how beat down she is on the stand. Yeah, Carrie Roberts just wanted to be part of the cool crew. It did show no sleep. I thought so. So, what's that tell you? The rest of them slept just fine that night. According to their testimony anyway. They all went to sleep, but yet somehow all butt dialed each other, right? James says it was intentional when they put him on the lawn, hence Jen's Google search. Yes, well, of course that was intentional. I meant the initial, what caused the actual death. I don't think there was any intent there. But yes, the minute you decide to cover it up, and not only cover it up, blame someone else, of course that's intentional, 100%. Yep, I agree, Yummy. She's beaten down by Brian. No way she'll flip on him. Yep, I agree. Ugh. Oh, something's wrong with my vape. Damn it. Moni G says, you can see how beat down she is when TB uses her as Raggedy Ann. Right? I'm telling you. Miss Debate says, Nicole may not flip, but she could, crack. Yeah, definitely. That's definitely possible. But she would have to be, I think, in my opinion, she would have to be somehow completely away from Brian Albert to even do that. Because her body is so conditioned, her mind is so conditioned to behave and respond a certain way because of him and his controlling behavior. It's been so long that I don't think even she would crack until somehow she was broken from that control. James says he was still alive when they put him out there. Now that I don't necessarily agree with, but because I've seen these injuries before, I know how quickly they put someone out. I think that he was already gone before they put him out there. That's just my opinion. Moni G says, actually, that's probably the best she's been treated. It's bad when you are in that kind of controlling and, dare I say, abusive relationship. Your mind and body do some pretty crazy things to protect yourself. We'll probably have her rehomed. Yeah, just like Chloe, right? Although I truly have to look, I have to rethink the whole Chloe thing, because I honestly have the opinion that Chloe wasn't there and was gone that night after whatever happened to John happened to him. I truly felt that that dog was taken out of that house and disposed of, so to speak. But then, because I always thought, for some reason, I thought the attack on the two people that Chloe sent to the hospital happened prior to what happened to Officer John O'Keefe. But I was obviously mistaken in that, because whatever happened with Chloe, supposedly Chloe, and sending two people to the hospital, it happened months after the death of Officer John O'Keefe. So, did they take the dog just for the night to deal with whatever they were going to deal with that morning? Did they get a new dog, and the one that attacked those people wasn't even Chloe to begin with? I don't know. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. I would probably have to sit with for a while. Moni G says, away from Brian Albert and all his cop buddies too. The family ties run deep. Yeah, exactly. Shelly says Caitlin took Chloe, I believe. That's what I believed. But finding out that those attacks were after Officer John O'Keefe died, I just don't understand why they would get rid of him for the night, but then bring him back to then get rid of him again. So that's why I say that maybe it's a possibility that the dog that supposedly attacked those two people wasn't even Chloe to begin with. They got rid of Chloe, got a new dog to replace Chloe in case they ever came after, DNA from the dog or whatever. And then when it attacked people, they're like, shit, we got to get rid of this one too. I don't know. Miss Debate says, I thought it was prior. I did too, but it's not. It wasn't. It was several months after. It was in May. So February, March, April, May, 4 months later. Oh, the dog. Oh my God, sorry. Moni G, I missed it. It went right over my head. That is the best way Coco has ever been treated, huh? Oh, that video is too funny. James says, Jennifer at least thought he was alive. Why else would she Google that? Also, I thought he had a faint heartbeat when he was found. He did not have a heartbeat. And then I have a feeling the reason Jennifer Googled that, this is just my opinion as well, but I have a feeling that those first responders knew by that injury and what happened to him immediately after, going unresponsive and vomiting, they knew he was gone. And I think that she Googled how long to die in the cold because they wanted to make it look like that could have possibly happened. So they needed to kind of judge when to put him out there. So that if they, in their minds, I think, well, how long do they need to be exposed to the cold to show certain signs? So that they could estimate if they had enough time between putting him out there at a certain time and finding him at a certain time. Because you have to remember, Brian Albert is a cop, a first responder. He may not have dealt with this exact injury, but he has dealt with other injuries and death and all of these things. You can't tell me that they didn't realize that he was, after he hit his head, that they didn't know he wasn't going to make it really quickly. Shelly says, I didn't realize that it was after. I didn't know either until a couple weeks ago. Miss Debate says rehoming was later. Previously had bitten. Well, I know rehoming was later. Technically, they said that. But my point is that dog was not there. Jen McCabe doesn't remember the dog being there. It wasn't barking at all the first responders and people out front, the lights and all the noise. And as they put it, hysterical screaming of Karen Reed. And yet that dog did not bark, which is why it led me to believe that dog was not there. It wasn't there, that they got rid of it. So then when I find out that the incident with their dog and the two people that were sent to the hospital by the dog was months after the incident with Officer John O'Keefe, you start to wonder, did they get rid of the dog that night and then replace it and then get rid of it again? That one? Because why would they get rid of the dog for that night and then bring it back? I don't know. Like I said, it's stuff to think about, stuff where my brain goes. I have no idea. Moni G says, I say different dog because part of me thinks Higgy pew-pewed the dog that night when she attacked. Yeah, could be. Like I said, I don't know. It's like a whole nother rabbit hole when you realize the timeline of the dog and stuff. Miss Debate says, John O'Keefe's injuries were fatal. However, his body didn't die immediately. No, not immediately, but he would have died pretty quickly, 15, 20 minutes. The extent of damage to the brainstem, it's not conducive with life or breathing, circulation of blood. It would all stop rather quickly. All right, so let's get back into the smug bastard.
Those clothes stayed in that room starting on January 29th, 2022, so that they could dry, correct?
That's correct, sir.
Ultimately, they were bagged after they were dried, correct?
At some point they were, yes.
Who had access to that room where they were laid out on butcher paper in those intervening, those subsequent days?
Anyone that had access to the office with a proper key card authorization would have access to that
And
area.
of course, that includes you as a supervisor, correct?
It does.
It also includes Michael Proctor.
It does.
And those items were bagged on February 4th. Is that right?
I don't have a specific memory, but if you can show me a document suggesting that and supporting that statement, I will definitely look at it.
So I think while waiting for the piece of paper, you remember looking at the bag that the clothing items were in. At this point, was the jeans.
Earlier today, sir?
Yes.
I do remember looking at the bag, yes.
Okay. And the bag has a label on it, obviously. That's generated when items are bagged.
It has multiple labels, yes.
Okay. Did you see the label today that it indicated it was bagged on February 4th?
I didn't pay attention to it now.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
If you could take a look at those 3 pages briefly, that's colloquy. That may refresh your recollection.
I don't know what the colloquy means. Can you?
Back and forth conversation.
I see.
May I approach?
Yes.
So, did reviewing that document refresh your recollection as to the date that those items were ultimately bagged and labeled?
Yes, based on the tag on the bag, when I previously looked at it, it appears that the tag was printed on 2/4/22.
And that would be consistent with the time that the items are actually placed in the bag,
I don't know that to be true.
because you didn't place them in the bag. Trooper Proctor did, correct? I'm sorry, former Trooper Proctor did,
I don't know who placed them in the bag.
but it wasn't you.
It was not me, no.
But the case officer, Mr. Proctor, had access to that room and was taking control over those clothing items for those 6 days that they were drying on the butcher paper, correct?
That's not necessarily correct. It could have been the evidence officers bagging the evidence once it's dried and processing it. I highly doubt Trooper Proctor had access to the beast machine to print that label.
Right. I'm not asking if you printed the label. I'm asking if you bagged the item and walked it up to the evidence locker and the label was printed up there.
Again, I don't know who bagged the items.
That would be normal protocol, though, correct?
Somebody else bagging the items?
No, the case officer bagging the items. He's the one that seized it along with you. He laid them out on the butcher paper along with you. He would be the one to gather them up. I mean, the evidence officer's not going to come down there and do that without the case officer knowing, correct?
Not necessarily. The evidence officer's responsibility is to handle the evidence. So I don't know who handled the evidence that day.
How would the evidence officer know to go down there? How would he know that there were clothing items being laid out to dry on butcher paper unless the case officer told him?
They would walk by it every day and see it. That's their workstation. So
Right.
they would know that, hey, this evidence is drying. There's only 4 detectives in the office at that time working on this case. We communicate daily. So they would know that, hey, it's dried. Let's bag it up.
Well, that's a lot of speculation, especially from the supervisor. Literally, who just said, I have no idea. We're not communicating with you.
I was giving you an explanation of what could have happened.
Right.
Harley, Rachel.
Speculation about what could have happened, right?
Well, I certainly did not bag that item.
Right. But your best estimate would be knowing the protocols at the MSP and in your unit would be the case officer who's controlling the items of evidence would have bagged it and submitted it into the evidence locker.
I do not know who bagged it.
So for 6 days, anybody who had access to that room could have handled that clothing in any way they wanted to.
That's correct.
And that includes former Trooper Michael Proctor.
That's correct.
Do you have any kind of log to document what was happening or who was wearing those items of clothing during that 6-day period before it was bagged into evidence? Any kind of log?
I don't have a document logging the clothing laying out there. It was documented in reports and processing, I believe.
Have
But
you ever seen a log? Not a report after the fact, but another log, real-time log, indicating who may have come in and handled or touched or manipulated those clothes in that 6-day span of time?
I have never seen a log like that. No.
Hi, Lori.
The fact is, we don't have a single document establishing the chain of custody for those items between January 29th and February 4th. That's correct, isn't it?
That is absolutely not correct.
Where's the log of the document logging what happened to it?
We seized the clothing. It was in our possession. It was transferred for processing.
Sergeant, I'm asking you about a log, a written piece of paper, something that looks like this. It's got writing on it that logs the item between January 29th and February 4th. It doesn't exist, does it?
We did not create a log to document the documentation, so it'd be redundant, really.
You indicated on direct examination that you personally participated in two searches at
redundant.
34 Fairview,
Asshole.
one on February 4th, one on February 10th. Is that right?
That is not right.
What did I get wrong?
I was also there on the 3rd, 4th, and 10th.
Oh, Terry, I'm sorry.
Who did you go with on the 3rd?
I know what that's like, unfortunately.
That was Trooper DeChico, Michael Proctor, and I conducting the first excavation.
And about what time was that?
It was during the morning hours. I think earlier I said it was somewhere between 8:39, 9:30. I could have been half an hour later. I'm not exactly positive on the exact time we began the excavation.
And the other two searches were the next day, February 4th, and then February 10th.
The next time I was at Fairview Road and involved in a collection of evidence was on the 4th, when Ken PD documented their one piece and I collected, and then the 10th.
Was anything recovered on February? Let's take them in order. On February 3rd.
Yes, Mr. O'Keefe's hat, straw, I believe, red and clear plastic taillight pieces. Those are the items that were recovered.
That's on the 3rd. Okay, what about the 4th?
The 4th was the red taillight piece that we displayed, I believe. That Canton PD notified me of when I was already en route there.
When you say Canton PD, who was it that notified you, if you remember?
There was, at the scene, there was Chief Berkowitz, a couple of detectives.
Sergeant
Well, at
White,
least you
does that sound
did
right?
get some sleep, right?
I do not know. I can't say yes or no. I don't recall specifically. It was raining hard, so I grabbed the item and left.
Okay. Did you write a report? I'm gonna combine these into all three dates together. Did you write any report? Actually, I won't do that. Let me ask him individually. Did you write any report about your search on the 3rd?
Somebody authored a report. I'm not sure.
I'm asking about you.
I can't. There's over 100 reports. I'd have to take a look which report documents my activity that day.
Do you remember, as you sit here, authoring a report about your conduct or your activity on February 4th, the next day?
I don't have a memory of it, no.
Do you have a memory of authoring a report yourself about your conduct on February 10th, your activity on February 10th?
I don't have a memory of it. It could have happened. I just don't have a memory.
The reality, Sergeant, is that no report was written about any of these searches until November 4th, 2023. Correct?
That could be possible, yes.
So literally the documentation.
And you see
of
nothing
these
wrong with
three
that.
searches about which you've testified today, the documentation did not exist until, what is that math, 17, 18 months later?
That is not true. Each bag that the evidence went into was documented, the time, location, who recovered it, where it was recovered, and brief description of the items that were recovered from the scene.
And by the way, we're going to get to that in a second, the evidence bags. A report is designed to memorialize exactly what happens, when it happens, why it happened, who was there, what time it happened, things of that nature, correct?
That is one of the purposes, or some of the purposes behind the report, absolutely. Yes.
And the report in this case that documented these three searches involving you, Trooper Proctor, I think Trooper DeChico, even Canton PD officers, there was no memorialization in a report until nearly 18 months later. Is that right?
It's possible, yeah. We write reports at different times. Yeah.
18 months later,
I want to
you don't
ask you
see
about
a
this
problem
February
with
4th,
that? This is what I'm talking
visit to the
about.
crime scene. You indicated that sometime in the morning, 8:45, 9 a.m., something like that, you responded
On the 4th, sir?
on the 4th.
I was driving to work, so I would have to say 8:45 or so. Yeah, I mean, I don't have the exact timestamp, but if you know, if you have something to refresh my memory, I could tell you if that's accurate.
I'm not going to hold you to the exact time. It was in the morning on the 4th.
It was.
Did you know Chief of Police Ken Berkowitz before you responded on the 4th to 34 Fairview?
Yes, I knew who he was. I had met him previously, and he was present on the 29th when the vehicle was delivered to the Sally Port.
He was actually in the Sally Port, at least at some time, when the vehicle was delivered, correct?
He was there at some point. I
That's what he
I had a
asked.
conversation with him.
Okay. Tall guy, short guy?
Chief Berkowitz was a shorter guy.
Okay. Do you know who Brian Higgins is?
I do.
What's your relationship with Brian Higgins?
Uh,
Or what was it? I should be more pointed to this, Sergeant. What was your relationship back in 2022, January 2022?
Brian Higgins was a federal agent, and I crossed paths with him on a couple of investigations, strictly professional relationship, a federal agent and a state trooper.
So not a personal relationship, more of a professional relationship.
Correct.
Did you know him to have a personal relationship with Chief Berkowitz?
I did not know.
Didn't Brian Higgins actually tell you and Michael Proctor in an interview that he had a personal relationship with Chief Berkowitz? He called him one of his better friends. Okay.
Sustained as we can.
Sure. During the course of your investigation, did you learn, although you may not have personal knowledge of it, did you learn that Brian Higgins and Chief Berkowitz has some sort of a personal relationship?
If you show me a report stating that, I would
Oh, shut
take
up.
a look.
you
If it's written in a
cocky. You
report
didn't
authored by
know.
me or that I approved, I will take it for to be fact.
As you sit here now, you don't have a memory of that conversation with Brian Higgins?
Do I have a memory of having a conversation with him
No,
and him
I'm-
sharing that information with me?
That's it.
I don't have a memory of him sharing that information, but if you have a report that was authored by me or Michael Proctor or any trooper in our office that says that, I will take it as gospel
Oh
and
my
testify to
God.
it.
Okay. Well, I don't want to take up the time to look for it. We'll
This
put our
is
hands on that. In the
brutal.
meantime, let me ask you a few other questions. You were contacted and told to respond to 34 Fairview because Chief Berkowitz had been driving by and saw something while he was driving by, correct?
On which day, sir?
February 4th.
I'm sorry.
February 4th.
Yes, he indicated he was driving by and saw a piece of potential evidence.
And he was driving by in a car at speed, correct?
I would take that to be factual. I mean, if he's driving by, I would take it to be in a car
And
at speed.
did you question Chief Berkowitz about, by the way, about how old was Chief Berkowitz when you met him out at 34 Fairview in 2022?
How old?
How old? Estimate. Was he in his 50s, 60s, 70s?
I have no idea how old Chief Berkowitz was.
He indicated to you that he was driving by and saw a small piece of red taillight from his car. Is that right?
Sustained.
He indicated to you that he was driving by and saw a red something from his car, correct?
Oh my
Did you
God.
question Chief Berkowitz after you learned this information about him driving by? Did you question Chief Berkowitz about how he could possibly see a piece of red plastic from his car?
No,
Did you question Chief Berkowitz about why he was driving by 34 Fairview in the first place?
no,
Did you question Chief Berkowitz about the fact that his department had been conflicted from the case, at least in part, because of a, as you put it, a perceived or possible perception of a conflict of interest?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that question, please?
Did you question Chief Berkowitz about whether or not he was aware that there was a conflict of interest between Canton PD and this investigation?
No, I didn't question him.
Genuine?
Did you think that was important at the time to talk to him about that conflict of interest?
No.
Because just days earlier, Sergeant, the Canton Police Department had in fact recused himself from interviews because of potential conflict of interest.
To prevent any perceived conflict of interest, they recused themselves from being involved in interviews. I wasn't pairing up with Chief Berkowitz to interview the taillight piece. I mean, I don't.
No, I didn't figure that you were going to interview the taillight piece. We all get counted. I'm trying to get to a point. 3 or 4 days after, 5 days after, 6 days after, Canton PD recuses itself from the investigation, parts of the investigation, because of a perceived conflict of interest. The brother of the homeowner being a detective, the chief of that department drives by in a car and supposedly sees me sponsor. Right?
I'm sorry?
Sustained.
Oh, Stinky, sit down and shut up.
Was your understanding, at least at the time, that the whole purpose of the recusal was so there would not be a perception of a conflict of interest? To avoid that.
I didn't give it much thought of the understanding why there was a recusal. I was told that they're not going to conduct interviews with us, and me being on the mission of conducting this investigation, assisting with this investigation, collecting evidence, I just knew I needed more manpower. And And the Canton police, being, having recused themselves, weren't going to be available to provide that manpower to conduct interviews.
And yet it was the chief of that very department that was standing out in front of 34 Fairview when you pulled up that morning.
With his detectives, they were at the location. They weren't standing outside. They were in their vehicles because it was raining really heavily.
Well,
Can we end this?
we can, Ron. Sure.
Oh my God.
May I inquire, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning, Sergeant.
Good morning, sir.
Yesterday, when we left off, we had been discussing one of the trips you made out to 34 Fairview, specifically on an occasion in which you met Chief Berkowitz. I want to ask you a couple of questions to follow up on those questions that I asked yesterday. Did Chief Berkowitz ever talk to you about his communications with Brian Albert and or Brian Higgins, either at that time or afterward? Did you learn that Chief Berkowitz had communicated one way or the other without telling me anything that they said? Did you learn whether or not Chief Berkowitz had communicated with Brian Higgins?
Hey, Cheryl.
No.
Did you learn that Chief Berkowitz had communicated with Brian Albert? And I'm talking about in the days before you were at 34 Fairview, which was February 4th, from the 29th to February 4th.
No.
You returned to the scene, you indicated on direct examination, on or about February 10th, 2022, to conduct yet another search, correct?
Yes.
And on that particular occasion, you recovered some 6 pieces of red and or clear and or black plastic. Is that how you testified?
There was numerous pieces. The exact number, I don't know. You'd have to refresh my memory with a report.
Okay. There were several pieces. The exact number, I'm not really worried about. There were several. It was more than one.
Yes.
Okay. There were also some clear glass pieces, correct?
Again, I don't know exactly, but a report can be presented. It would refresh my memory.
Okay. Let's do that real quick. So you can actually that's what familiarize yourself with it.
Thank you.
Let me know when you familiarize yourself with that report. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Did Bukake and Jen McCabe practice testifying together? Swear to God.
So did you have an opportunity to take a look at this report?
I did.
Did that refresh your recollection as to the items generally that you recovered on February 10th?
Yes, I did.
Did you recover approximately 6 pieces of red, black, and clear plastic and 14 pieces of glass and plastic fragments?
Yes, I did.
Okay. You would obviously consider that to be an incredibly important part of the investigation, recovering physical items at the scene of the incident, correct?
Every piece of evidence is important.
Can you describe for the jurors
Really?
exactly where each of the, let's take them one at a time, where each
Why
of the
didn't you
6
treat it
pieces of
that
plastic
way?
fragments were found?
All items recovered that day were found in the general vicinity where the other items were also located. The area had been excavated. I've been to that location several times, and it was all located in the general vicinity where it was initially excavated, but also where I was told Mr. John O'Keefe was found on the morning of January 29th, 2022.
So other than saying in the general vicinity, did you seek to actually document where each item was found? In other words, by cross coordinates or some other such manner?
The exact location where each item was recovered from was not documented with a picture or GPS location. It was still within the general vicinity of that 40 to 50 square feet or so, by my approximation, near the flagpole, between the street, the flagpole, and the fire hydrant. It was all the same general vicinity.
So 40 to 50 square feet would be 10 foot by 5 foot square, correct?
Generally speaking, 50, yeah, 5 by 10, general area.
If I may, Your Honor, if I may proceed, would you agree with me? I'm not going to pull out a measuring tape. Would you agree I'm about 10 feet from you right now?
I would agree with you, yes.
Okay. And from the jury bar, probably about 5 feet from there.
Yes.
So we're talking about a relatively broad area for small pieces of physical evidence to be found. You would agree with that?
I would, again, estimate it was the general area, maybe
Right, we got
Maybe
that. That's
10
not
feet in one
question.
direction, 10 feet in another.
Oh my
and
God.
5 feet out, maybe 3 feet out. They were the general area where it was initially excavated and then expanded with the snow melting. And all the pieces were within that general area.
But you were working on an assumption at that point, on an assumption that there was some sort of an impact at 3430, correct?
I don't understand what you're asking.
You were working on an assumption or a presumption that there was an impact of a physical item, in your view, an SUV, with a human being, correct? That was your presumption at the time.
The evidence was pointing that impact took place because there was damage to the taillight. Large chunks of it was missing. And we were locating pieces that were consistent with texture, color, and size fragments from that SUV on the lawn. So I wasn't assuming anything. The evidence was speaking to us.
We're speaking to
You were
them.
there, correct?
I was there recovering the evidence, yes.
Speaks
You were
now.
there at the time of the incident.
No, of course not.
So you were utilizing assumptions and presumptions based on information that was provided to you. Yes or no?
We work by learning information, collecting evidence, and getting that
Oh my
evidence
God.
to
This is so brutal.
suggest what happened. That evidence is tested, and then it's all put together into the case.
You use the word to suggest what happened, correct?
Yes.
Another word for a suggestion is if something is suggested to you, you then receive it and assume certain
And
things based on that
assume.
suggestion.
What we do with suggestions, we corroborate them. A witness statement is, I guess you can say, a suggestion, and then we corroborate it through evidence.
And of course, you make assumptions based on those suggestions, right? Yes or no?
We have theories.
Another term for a theory
Here we go.
is an assumption or a presumption, correct?
I guess in some respect you can say that, but I'm not going to argue about semantics here.
Well, you'll agree that words matter, right? I mean, you're testifying, so words do matter.
Words do matter. That's important.
So working off of your, as you put it, your theory, you theorized that there was an impact spot at 3430, correct?
Based on the statement I hit him, I assumed that Mr. O'Keefe was impacted with something. Initial
But you said you don't assume.
hours of the investigation, we had those statements, I hit him. We had the statements that, oh my God, did I hit him? So utilizing that information with the evidence at that point that we had was a broken cocktail glass. So the theory would be, why is the cocktail glass broken? Because it came into contact with the victim. So that's why my information communicated to the ME's office was a possible domestic involving a glass strike to the victim. As a result, we had to go and see the victim's body and the injuries. So Mr. O'Keefe's injuries presented a certain way, and we learned more information. So the more information that comes in, the more information that we are able to corroborate statements and collect evidence that further corroborates other information is helpful in the investigation. That's how investigations develop. If we knew everything we knew from day one, there wouldn't be a process of developing investigation.
So the answer to my question, Sergeant, is you were working off of a theory, correct? Yes or no?
We were working off a report of an injured male party, and then we developed the information, collected the evidence,
just said
and developed the
assume.
investigation.
And theory. You use the fucking word theory.
I'm sorry, English is like a third language for me, so if you can bring up the Webster's Dictionary, I can read it out.
You want to pull up Webster's Dictionary? You want to take a break over and pull up the Webster's Dictionary to find a word that you used an answer about 40 seconds ago? You were working off of a theory, quote unquote. You said it, not me. You want me to go get a dictionary so we can figure out for the jurors what that word means?
Yes.
All right, sustained. Let's move along, please.
You would agree with me, Sergeant Bukhenik,
Hi,
that
Darth
if your theory was that there was an impact, the site of that impact would be incredibly important, correct?
Very important, yes.
And on February 10th, you went out to the scene
Now I'm hungry too.
that you found
I don't
6
call you
pieces
cheese,
of
Terry. Oh my
black,
God.
clear, and red plastic material.
Darth Vader.
And 14 pieces
We're talking
of
about
glass
food. I'm
material and
hungry.
some other plastic material as well, correct?
Yes.
You
Love
didn't photograph it?
animals.
Is that
No, I
right?
did not.
You didn't do any plotting of cross coordinates, which would have been easy to do to determine exactly where each piece was found, correct?
It would not be easy for me. I don't know how to do that.
You've never learned how to plot cross coordinates?
Oh my God.
I don't have the tools to GPS coordinate an item.
You take 2 points that are stable. You know what cross coordinates are? Take 2 points that are stable, like for instance, I don't know, let's pick something, like a flagpole. And you draw a line, pull the string directly over the item that you find. Then you take another stable item that's perpendicular to that, pull that straight, put it down That's exactly, you measure the distance between the two, that's exactly where that item, where those two strings cross, that's exactly where that item's found. That's cross coordinates.
Well, let me check, Darvader.
Sustained.
You ever heard of that?
Objection. Sustained.
Do you know what cross coordinates are?
No,
You know how to plot cross
He
coordinates?
doesn't
You
know
just
what cross
demonstrated to me.
coordinates
Does that sound
are.
reasonable and easy?
Well,
what you explained sounds easy. Yes,
And you didn't do that.
I did not.
You also didn't, by the way, you had your cell phone when you went out there on February 10th, correct?
I would assume so. Yes.
Your cell phone has a camera built into it, correct?
Yes, it does.
You indicated on direct examination you didn't think it was necessary to call out a forensic photographer to photograph and photo document where these items were found. Is that right?
That's right.
But you could put your cell phone out and taken photographs of them, right?
I guess I could have. Yes.
yeah, you could have. Darvader, sorry, everyone, I'm pausing just a second. First of all, James, thanks for making me even more hungry by telling me he's eating raviolis, because I love pasta, any sort of pasta. Oh, yummy. And Darvader, I'm sending you a link right now, sweetie. And Moni G says, everybody grab your tall boots. It's getting deep. And a bunch of shit emojis. Because, of course, the shit is getting deep. Terry says, my favorite meal of food is grilled cheese. I love grilled cheeses with fresh tomato. Ooh, yummy. Now I got to go get some to eat. I will be right back. Here we go as we listen to this shit. Yes, you got my email address correct. Way to go, Darvader. I'm going to send you the link right now. I'm going to go grab a pop and a snack, and I'll be right back. Oh, Cheryl's eating blueberries. See, now I have to go get food, a meal of food, because I'm starving now because everyone's talking about food. All right, here we go. I'll be right back, guys.
You didn't do any coordinates and you didn't take any photos.
I did not know.
Can you show us a report that memorializes where you supposedly recovered these items?
Yes, the report you showed me, number 83, that documents that they were all recovered at 34 Fairview Road.
Right. So that's correct. There's a report after the fact that establishes that they were recovered generally at 34 Fairview Road on February 10th. But there's no report that describes exactly where on the property at 34 Fairview or off the property at 34 Fairview these 20 items were found. That's a question I'm waiting.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Do you need me to repeat the question?
Was there a question? Go ahead, please.
Sure. Is there a report that documents exactly where at 34 Fairview on the property these 20 odd items were found exactly?
The report documenting where they were recovered from is number 83 that you just presented. Exact location is the same general vicinity. If it was something different, if we located these items across the street, different section of the yard, that would have been documented.
What's documented in the report that you just referenced says bullet point 2/10/22, meaning February 10/22 at 9:15 a.m. Sergeant Bukhenik secured 6 pieces of red, black, and clear plastic. Period. That's what it says, right?
The same general vicinity. If there was a different
That's what the
location,
report says, isn't it? That's all I'm asking. That's what the report says. What I just quoted.
that's the description of the items.
So the
recovered.
answer is yes. That's what the report says.
That is part of the report. That is the description of the items recovered on that day.
And the bullet point beneath that says February 10th, 2022 at 9:15 a.m. Sergeant Bukhenik secured 14 pieces of glass and plastic fragments. Correct?
That's correct.
There is no further description of where those items were found, is there?
There is.
Where's the report with the further description of exactly where they were found?
It might not be in the report. It might be on the description of the bag, describing that it was 34 Fairview Road. The report indicates and encompasses itself where those items were recovered from. Clearly, the same general vicinity the initial items were recovered from. If there was a need to document a different location, it would have happened.
But you didn't see the need to document the exact coordinates where those items were found, did you? You didn't see it.
It did not happen.
Can I approach John?
Yes.
Take a look at that photograph. Some of you recognize it. Must have picked it in it.
Yes, I do.
What's depicted in that photograph, just generally?
It's the side of evidence bag that the items were secured in. It documents the case number, the date, time, who recovered it,
All right, I'm
and
back.
general description of the 6 pieces of red, black, and clear plastic recovered from 34 Fairview Road in Canton.
Want some tomatoes and cheese for me.
Is there any objection?
Hold on, while I look back real quick. Oh, Shelly, I'm making you hungry too. See, yep, I was hungry. I had to go get some. Ooh. Cheryl says, hurts like hell though. Just got a new partial. I threw the last one out by accident that I paid $2K. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Shit's expensive. Chrissy Bacon, what's up, sweetie? You do an imitation of Yuri? He sounds like such a dolt. Yeah, I call him a smug, arrogant asshole. Yeah, I want to hear it too, Genuine. Chrissy, you gotta share a recording of that somehow. She says, hope to be able to share it with the people one day. Yeah, we definitely want to hear that, Christy. All right, here we go.
No, okay.
111.
You indicated that the evidence bag would help determine where the exact location was that these items were found, correct?
The general location where they were recovered from.
Can you publish this, Cheryl? Okay. Does this look like the photograph that you were just reviewing?
Yes, it does.
That's just been marked
Yeah,
as
I didn't want to take too much time, so instead of making a grilled cheese, I just grabbed some grape tomatoes and slices of white sharp cheddar cheese. Yummy.
evidence.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Will, can we make that a little larger so it's more legible? Can you read that from where you are?
I can.
Moving past the date, moving on to the date. What date is that?
Date collected is 2/10/22.
So that's the date that we've been talking about, correct?
That is correct.
And this indicates collected by, and who's that?
That's myself, Sergeant Bukhenik.
Description of evidence. This is where the description of the evidence is located on this evidence bag, correct?
General description identifying what's inside.
And what's that description?
6 pieces of red, black, and clear plastic.
And that's all it says about the description, correct?
Yes.
And it indicates location where it is. And there's several lines that are available to fill in, correct?
Correct.
I can't help it.
34 Fairview Road, Canton, MA.
And that's it, correct?
That's all that was put, yes.
And you didn't fill this bag out, did you?
No, I did not.
Who did?
I do not know.
Who did?
I don't know.
You don't recognize the handwriting?
No, I do not.
You don't recognize the handwriting of your partner and subordinate, Michael Proctor?
Objection.
Are you aware that Michael Proctor filled this out?
Objection.
Were you with Michael Proctor when this was back?
No, I was not. I was by myself.
Did you give the items of evidence to Michael Proctor? To the bag?
No, I did not.
Who did you give it to the bag?
I bagged it myself.
Whose handwriting is that?
I do not know.
If you bagged it yourself, why didn't you fill out the evidence envelope?
I bagged it and turned it over, and I told them exactly where it was and what time. So someone else wrote the information.
You just said I bagged it and told him.
Turned it over.
No, sir. No, sir. What you just said was I bagged it and turned it over to him. And you don't know who it is that you turned it over to? Who's the him?
Turned it over to them.
Who's
Them.
Okay.
Whoever wrote it. Whoever wrote it.
So we're just in a circle here. We can turn the lights
That's
out.
to the commentary.
So, Mr. Jackson, no comments, okay? Just
Understood.
questions.
I apologize. Ignore my last comment. You had items of evidence that you already described as being incredibly important, correct?
Those are your words. I actually changed. I said every piece of evidence is important.
Okay. Since this is part of every piece of evidence, you think this evidence was important.
Every piece of evidence is important.
So was this evidence important? Yes or no?
Yes.
So you had the evidence and turned it over to someone who you don't know and can't identify. Is that what we understand?
It was a member of the Massachusetts State Police assigned to our office. It wasn't just a random person. I can't specifically identify who it was or who wrote on that bag. I know it was a trusted member of our unit. and part of the investigative team.
How do you know it was a trusted member of your unit and a part of the investigative team if you can't tell these jurors who it was? How do you know that?
Because I wouldn't have turned it over to a random stranger.
Okay, so let's figure out the possibilities. Who were among those to whom we would have turned this stuff over? Who were among them?
There was 4 troopers in the detective unit at that point assigned to homicide.
Let's name them. Who are they?
It was Trooper DeChico, Trooper Kakowski, Trooper Dunn, and Trooper Mike Proctor.
As you sit here today, do you believe or do you recall turning it over to Trooper Dunn?
Objection.
You're gonna go through each.
He
person?
knows it was Proctor. He just refuses to
I'll allow
fucking
this.
admit it.
Do you remember turning it over to Trooper Dunn?
No.
You remember turning it over to Trooper Bukake?
No.
You remember turning it over to Trooper DeChico?
No.
You remember turning it over to Michael Proctor?
No.
So it might have been just a random stranger. Right?
That's a ridiculous suggestion.
Have you ever seen Trooper Proctor's handwriting before?
Yes.
Matter of fact, you've seen it, I'm guessing, not dozens, maybe hundreds of times, right?
Not hundreds of times, no.
Dozens of times
Sure.
over the years.
Sure.
On evidence bags, on logs, on notes, things of that nature.
Some evidence bags, some notes.
May I approach your Honor?
Yes.
Can you take a look at that document and tell me if you recognize it?
The whole thing or just the front page?
No, just go through and tell me if you recognize it.
This is my point right here. This bullshit that he's doing on the stand with this round and round tit for tat crap he's pulling with Alan Jackson. Do they honestly think this is a good look? The fucking bullshit he's trying to do just makes him look ridiculous and incompetent and like a smug asshole that I keep calling him. Seriously, how does anyone watch this fucking shit and think he's good for the job? Chastity says, I wonder if he went home this day and powered up his karaoke machine to decompress. I bet he did. I wonder if he took his shirt off too. Oh my God. Ugh.
Clearly what that is.
It appears to be a bunch of handwritten notes from possibly witness interviews.
Handwritten notes by him.
Well, you labeled it Proctor. I don't know who it is based on the individuals interviewed. You might suggest that these are Michael Proctor's notes.
Okay, so you're testifying that I labeled that Proctor?
I don't know.
Right, so you don't know.
Well, you provided a document to me, so.
Right, I know. And then you just testified that I labeled that Proctor. How do you know I labeled that Proctor?
Well, I got it from you.
You didn't see me write that, did you?
Objection.
Justine. Questions, please.
Sure. That appears to be a series from my Proctor, correct?
That's what's suggested, yes.
Okay. In terms of first half,
Some of these came off.
it's fine. It's fine. I'm just interested in the purple tab. You see a series of handwritten notes here from Michael Proctor? Not worried about the content.
Sure.
See the highlight?
Yes.
What's the word with handwritten in that highlight?
Objection.
So why don't we come to sidebar with this?
Sure. In the ordinary course of business, is it normal standard operating procedure that the person who recovers items of evidence fills out the evidence bag contemporaneous to the recovery of the item?
It's possible you can do that if there's a reason that you have to leave, an emergency or weather conditions you can't write on the bag. You can fill it out later if you have the time and you know where you recovered it from, which is like, in this instance, if it was a general vicinity where all the other fragments of evidence was collected from, it's known that it was within the general area of that section of the lawn near the flagpole between the street and the flagpole and the fire hydrant.
Well,
So it's
the person that filled out that evidence envelope wasn't with you.
Well, passed that
Yeah,
information
just
along
pull
to
it
them.
out later. It's no big
Now
deal.
it's hearsay information is being passed along to someone else. Fill out the paperwork.
It's only a dead
It's secondhand.
officer.
Let's use that word. Secondhand information to the person who's filling out the evidence, correct?
This is the shit I'm talking about.
No, it's firsthand information. I passed it along to them.
It went from you to a person filling out the envelope who wasn't there. That's who was created.
I was by myself, so yes, I told the individual what time, what location, the case number, the date, obviously.
How do you know? How do you know that you told the individual to whom you passed this along the time, the location, the date? How do you know that as you sit here?
Because that information was then put on the bag and documented.
But you can't even remember who you talked to.
I do not remember specifically who I talked to. No.
If you can't remember who you talked to, you don't remember what you said. Goes hand in hand, doesn't it?
That's not true. I might not remember now, but the day that it was bagged on February 10th, 2022, I remember. And that's what the accurate, detailed information is on the bag.
A bag you didn't fill out, correct?
That's correct.
And information provided to someone you can't remember.
Today, I can't remember. No.
You're aware that that particular bag, that evidence bag, was not booked until March 14th, 2022, correct?
I don't understand what you're saying.
Those pieces of evidence were never booked into evidence
Now
until
you
March
don't
14th,
understand English?
2022.
Those particular pieces of evidence were collected on February 10th, 2022.
Sergeant Bukhenik, do you know the difference between collecting a piece of evidence and booking it into evidence, creating a booking label, creating an evidence log, things of that nature? Do you know the difference?
I understand the difference, yes,
Okay.
but you claiming that it wasn't booked into something doesn't mean that it wasn't properly handled in custody and under our control.
Sir, I'm not claiming anything. You're testifying. I'm asking questions. Was it booked into evidence on February 10th?
If you show me a document, I can tell you what
Sure.
it might be suggesting.
You can take a look at those two documents and tell me whether or not you recognize them. Okay. I'm going to leave those up there with you. Does one of those appear to be the log sheet for the crime lab?
One is a chain of custody report for the crime lab of all the evidence that was processed, received, processed, and returned. Yes.
And the other document?
The other document is simply a receipt of evidence being submitted on a certain day to the lab.
And both of those documents indicate that the first time the evidence was submitted to the crime lab was March 14th, 2022, correct?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
I will have to take a look. It's going to be some time, please.
Well, you can look at the top. Well, let me ask you, ask it in a question form. If you look through the log, it's in chronological order, the chain of custody log, correct?
By item, I believe, but I didn't take a deep dive into it. I have to take a look.
Right. Do you see any item, especially focusing on item 712 or items 712? Do you see any item being booked into the crime lab before March 14th, 2022?
All right, I'll take a look.
Does that refresh your recollection as to when the items were booked at the crime lab?
According to this document, yes, there were items booked at the crime lab prior to March 14th. In particular, to answer your question, completeness here, particular, that one item does indicate that the first time the lab received it for processing was March 14th.
So they were booked at the lab March 14th, correct?
The first time the lab received these items for processing, according to this document, is March 14th.
And there's no indication on any document as to where those items were before March 14th.
There is. We displayed the bag, me collecting them on February 10th, and they were in our possession at the Norfolk District Attorney's Office.
Whose possession?
The Norfolk District Attorney's Office.
Your possession. Specifically?
At one point, they were in my possession, and I turned it over.
Right. After you turned it over on February 10th, it was the date that you claimed to have found these items. After February 10th, they were not in your possession anymore.
No, once I turned them over, they're not in my possession.
When you say turn them over, you're talking about turning them over to someone who we don't know, correct? As you sit here.
Right now, I don't have a memory of who I turned it over to, but it was a member of our homicide team.
So the next time, Sergeant Bukake, the next time there's any documentation about those items is March 14th. Nearly 6 weeks later, 5 weeks later. Correct.
I don't know that to be correct, no.
But you can't point to any documentation. You're looking at the logs. You can't point to any documentation indicating the chain of custody of these items between February 10th and March 14th. Is that right?
This is simply a log from the lab.
Yes or no? Can you point to any documentation?
Ask the question.
Can you point to any documentation indicating where those items went, whose possession they were in what circumstance between February 10th and March 14th? Can you point to any document?
I know that it was collected on February 10th.
Right.
It's documented it was collected. It was at the Norfolk District Attorney's Office before it was
Chastity.
logged into the lab for processing.
You keep answering the same question that I'm not asking. Objection.
Sustained. No comments, Mr. Jackson.
Sir, do you understand my question? I'm asking, can you point to a single document for these jurors as to where those items went and in whose possession they remain, specifically between February 10th, when you lost sight of it, and March 14th, when the crime lab received it? Objection.
Sustained.
May I approach?
Yes.
Oh, come on.
No, I'm sorry.
Just for the evidence.
Just for the evidence. False start. As the supervisor, you're generally aware of the evidence in this case, correct?
It depends, but very generally on most cases, yes.
As a matter of fact, as the supervisor, one of your duties would be to make sure that evidence is collected and processed appropriately and properly, correct?
That is the standard, yes.
You're also aware that all of the physical evidence that was booked eventually at the crime lab on March 14th, 2022, was done so by Michael Proctor, correct?
I'm not sure exactly who delivered it or who booked it in. But if you have a document, I will reflect on it.
Take a look at that. Tell me if that refreshes your recollection.
Yes, it does.
May I approach? Yes. What is this document you just looked at?
It's the receipt of evidence submission to the crime lab.
And who submitted, based on that document, who submitted all of that evidence to the crime lab?
Michael Proctor.
You're also aware that Michael Proctor eventually submitted a total of some 46 or so pieces of taillight material that was claimed to have been recovered at 34 Fairview since January 29th, 2022, correct?
I don't know the total pieces, but we didn't claim to recover it there. We recovered it there.
You're testifying that they were recovered, but you didn't recover all of them, did you?
I did not recover all of them, no.
Matter of fact, Michael Proctor, according to you, recovered some of those items, correct?
Some of those items were recovered by Michael Proctor, yes.
And you're also aware that he submitted pieces of taillight material that he indicated he recovered as late as February 18th, 2022, correct?
I am aware that there was items recovered on February 18th. I am not sure exactly if it was him or someone else that recovered it.
You indicated, I think, a direct examination yesterday that as of February 3rd or February 4th, the weather had broken, generally, correct? It was getting warmer.
Yes, the weather was warmer. There were rainy days following the 3rd, I believe. No, the 4th. The 4th, it was raining when I picked up that piece of evidence. So, yeah, the weather had warmed up.
So it was raining and somewhat storming on the 4th?
There was precipitation when I recovered that item. I mean, I don't know if it was storming. There was a low pressure cell coming through. I had no idea.
Okay. But that's the same day that you were told that Chief Berkowitz was driving by and saw the traffic.
The day I picked up the single piece with Can PD present, it was raining.
So he would have been driving by, windows up, water on the windows, in the rain, and saw the red piece? Yeah.
Sustained.
You indicated that on February 10th, when you did your final visit, made your final visit to 34 Fairview, you indicated yesterday in third testimony there was quote unquote very little snow. Still present, correct?
That's correct.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Sir, if that's a 2-page document, could you familiarize yourself with those 2 pages, please, and let me know when we finish?
Okay.
Thank you. Sir, what do those 2 pages purport to reflect? What are the pictures of? Just general, an evidence bag and something else?
The first one's an evidence bag with some.
Tell me the date, just so we can cut to the chase, the date of that evidence collection, according to that.
On the bag, the date is 2/11/22.
Okay, what's
On the sticker, there's another date. There's a sticker March 9th of 22.
what's the,
There's also a date at the
I'm just interested in the 2 pages in general. I need to mark it forever. What's the second page look like?
second page is a large piece of red and black taillight plastic cover, and it's identified by a lab number, I believe.
Thank you. I'm sorry about that. So there's one page of evidence bag, the other page purports to be the item that's in the evidence bag, correct?
I don't know that, no.
Okay.
It's just one's an evidence bag with information on it, and then there's a photograph of a piece recovered. I don't know.
I'd like to have this one and introduce his next one over A and B. You want to request to publish?
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Taking a look at this item. Can you describe to the jurors what they're looking at, please?
This is an evidence bag. It is labeled with case number, date collected, time, who collected it, description of items enclosed, the location it was recovered, and the victim's full name. It also has a to scale ruler for the photograph and some identifying marks from the laboratory.
Can you indicate for the jurors who was it that collected this item according to the evidence bag?
According to this evidence bag, it was collected by Trooper Proctor.
And can you show the date or tell the jurors the date that it indicates the item was collected or items were collected?
I believe it says 2/11/22.
February 11th. So that would be the day after you were at the location, correct?
It would be the day after, yes.
Can we have the full screen, Mr. Wolf? You see the designation at the bottom beneath the measuring ruler?
Yes, I do, yes.
Is there a case number or case designator starting with 22?
Yes, I believe. I'm not sure, but I believe it's a LIMS number 22-02184.
And do you see an item number listed right next to that case number?
Yes, this indicates it's 7-15.
And there's another set of initials beneath that, it appears, correct?
That's what, I mean, there's letters. I don't know if there's someone's initials. I don't know what it is. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. This appears to be something that was filled out by a crime lab, the black lettering and numbering, correct?
I would assume. I don't know for sure, though.
Okay. And obviously there's a date down here, 2/17/23, a year later, correct?
Yes.
And it says Canton at the bottom.
Yes.
If we can have the full screen, please. Okay. You also indicated that there was a label up at the top, correct?
Yes.
All right. If we could go to the second page, it would be page B of this. Can you look at first of all, look at the bottom and tell me if that number designator appears to be the same as on the evidence, as on the previous page?
The LIMS or the item number? The item number is 715.
Okay. And that comports with what we just saw in the previous page, correct?
That is the same number.
All right.
Oh,
This
just
would be an
started
exemplar,
pouring rain
one of the
again.
items in that evidence bag labeled 715, correct? There were several items, but this is one of them. Is that right? That's how the crime lab keeps them separate?
I believe so. I don't know their procedures. I believe so. I know they use alphanumeric identifiers. As I can't testify to their procedures, why they do it, how they do it, or the sequence in which, or the choice in numbers or letters. I have no idea about any of that.
We can have the lights up with court's permission. We can leave this up. If you leave that up, Mr. Wolf. All right. You can still see that on screen, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You went out to 34 Fairview on February 10th, 24 hours before February 11th, right? To pick up a piece of, I'm sorry, to look for additional items of evidence, correct?
I collected, I believe, 20 pieces in total, 6 and 14, the day prior, yes.
You see the size of this, according to the exhibit.
Yes.
How big is that? The widest part. Yeah.
At the widest part, it appears, if there's no optical illusion with the ruler location, 6 inches.
Okay. That's 6 inches is the size of the dollar bill, right?
That's correct.
Okay. It also looks like it may be more than that from top to bottom, 6 to 7 inches, top to bottom. Did you get this estimate?
Possibly a little bit more.
An awfully big piece to miss.
You didn't see this item on February 10th when you were there, correct?
If I saw that item, I would have picked it up.
Right.
I love how
Right there,
things just keep
That's not what I'm
showing up.
saying. I said if I saw it, I would have picked it up.
But you didn't see it, did you?
I did not see it, obviously. No.
According to the information that we just presented, this item was found the next day by Trooper Michael Bukake.
Based on the information presented, that's what it says. Yes.
Yes.
You can take that down. May I approach one more time?
Okay.
Thank you. This is a 3-page document. If you
Did
could
you show
narrate
Mr. Brennan? I didn't see it.
Sure.
Thank you.
I did. Here we go. Are you familiar with that document? If I say that's a bad question. Let me ask it a different way. Recognize what's generally in those 3 pages?
I got to take a look.
Sure.
I must have missed your first
Sure.
request.
Sergeant, can you describe generally, just very generally, so I can either mark it or not mark it? Do you recognize what's depicted on the first page, the second page, and the third page?
The first page depicts an evidence bag from labeled date of collection 2/18/22. Second page is a red piece of plastic, and third page is also a photograph of a longer red piece of plastic with a little bit of black molding on it.
Your Honor, I would ask that be moved into evidence as A, B, and C subordinately.
Is there any objection?
No objection.
Move to publish, Your Honor.
It's been raining
Sergeant,
nonstop here.
same couple of questions, if you could. Do you see a date of collection on this evidence envelope?
Yes, this photograph indicates 2/18/22.
And collected by whom?
Trooper Proctor.
Full view, Mr. Wolf. Thank you, sir. And then if we could highlight the lower portion that appears to be by the ruler. Do you see the same, I think you called it a lens number?
Limbs, LIM.
Okay. The LIN number is the same number, the 22-02184, correct?
Yes.
And the item number in this one is handwritten as what?
7/16.
Okay. If we can go to the second page, please. Do you see it, first of all, on the bottom, the same item designated number?
Yes, 7/16.
And what is depicted in this photograph?
A red piece of plastic.
That would be a piece of plastic according to the item number that would be contained in that evidence envelope, one of the pieces at least.
I would assume. Yes.
Okay. Is that a similar 6-inch ruler that's being photographed with that red piece?
Yes, it is.
And how long at its longest point would you estimate that piece of plastic to be?
It's more than 6 inches. I mean, probably 7, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe 7.
I know this is a little bit of a challenge, but how from top to bottom, what would you estimate the distance to be at its longest point?
3.5 inches, I guess.
Okay. And then the next page, please. The final page would be sub C. Do you see the same designator on the bottom right?
Yes, I do.
That's 7/16. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Appears to be out of the same evidence envelope. Is that right?
That's what's suggested, yes.
And how long would you estimate this item to be?
7.5, 8 inches.
And maybe what, 3 inches tall? 4?
Yeah, 3.
Okay, we can have the lights up here with the court's permission. Again, the last time you were out at the location with very little snow on the ground, you collected certain items of evidence on February 10th, correct?
February 10th was the last time I collected. I said there was still snow on the ground, maybe in piles where it was excavated. There was very little, but there was still snow on the ground.
You indicated that you obviously looked around the area. You talked about the general area. I think you used the word general vicinity, right? When
Yes.
You collected your items.
Yes.
You didn't see this, and you didn't see the one before either, did you?
If I saw any of these items, they would have been collected. We did not excavate anything. We simply allowed the thawing and natural recession of the snow to reveal additional items.
When you were there on the 3rd, February 3rd, there was still some snow on the ground, and you did excavate, correct?
Yes, there was a lot of snow on the ground. Yes,
February 4th, that snow was dissipating some, correct?
it was, yes.
You were excavating through that as well, correct?
On the 4th? No, we did not excavate on the 4th. The item revealed itself, and I collected.
Item revealed itself.
Then on the 10th, you didn't need to do any more excavating because there was quote unquote no work, very little snow. Very little, right?
Those were my words. Compared to the first day, there was very little snow on the ground.
And in fact, you did not see any of the items that were collected, claimed to have been collected at 34 Fairview by Michael Proctor on February 11th, the day after you were there, correct? Did not see that item?
Did not see that item, no.
And did not see any of the items that you've seen that were claimed to have been collected by Michael Proctor on February 18th, a week later, correct?
Those items were not observed by me, or else I would have collected them.
We can take this down. I want to change gears for a second, Sergeant, if it's okay with you, and switch to the Waterfall Bar and Grill. You indicated that on direct examination, you reviewed video evidence and you had information that John O'Keefe and Karen Reed arrived at the Waterfall after leaving C.F. McCarthy's, correct?
That is correct.
I'd like to ask you about who your investigation revealed was there at the Waterfall when they arrived. What about Brian Higgins?
Yes, the investigation revealed Brian Higgins was at the Waterfall at their arrival.
And you learned that John O'Keefe and Karen Reed arrived at the Waterfall together, not separately, correct?
That is correct.
About what time did, according to your investigation, Mr. O'Keefe and Ms. Reed arrive at the Waterfall?
I believe it was 11:03, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
When they walked in, you reviewed the video, correct?
Yes, we played it yesterday, yes.
When they walked in, Brian Higgins was already situated in the Waterfall, standing or sitting at a sort of high top bar table, correct?
Brian Higgins was present. I don't know his exact location. The video would depict it.
You did learn that Brian Higgins, on January 29th, January 28th, going into January 29th, 2022, had what could be generally referred to as a romantic interest in Ms. Reed.
Objection.
Did you receive certain text messages from Brian Higgins during the course of your investigation?
I received extraction of his text messages. I did not receive any text messages.
Did you actually receive an extraction from his phone, or was it simply text messages that he supplied to you on his own?
It was extraction of text messages on a CD and also printed out the same document.
Did you perform that extraction, or was that extraction performed at your request by Massachusetts State Police from his phone?
It was not performed by me, and it was not performed at my request.
Okay. So in fact, when you met with Brian Higgins, he simply provided you something that he said had been extracted from his phone. Correct?
Sustained.
Did he provide you something?
Yes.
Did Brian Higgins indicate that he had taken those off of his phone?
Sustained.
What was your understanding about what the items were, the pages of text messages that you received? What was your understanding about where they came from?
From his device and his communications with the defendant and Mr. John O'Keefe.
But you did not have a forensic extraction performed, correct?
That's correct.
And Brian Higgins never gave you his phone to perform a forensic extraction, correct?
That's correct.
So the items that you received were directly from him and him alone.
And he
Is that right?
destroyed his SIM card. And
He handed me the items.
in his phone.
I don't know who else was
Military base.
involved. You said him alone. He
No.
handed me the items.
That's what I mean. You reviewed those text
We
messages
could
back and
never,
forth, correct?
ever be.
It's been some time, but yes, I had.
And those purported to be, I think you already said, those purported to be two strings, I'm going to call them strings of texts, some string text messages
Why would
between Brian Higgins
anyone
and
do
John
that?
O'Keefe, correct?
Unless they were hiding
Yes.
something.
And some string text messages between Brian Higgins and Karen Reed, correct?
Yes.
Would you describe the text messages between Brian Higgins and Karen Reed that he presented to you as flirtatious in nature?
Without having recently reviewed them in detail, I don't want to label it something without having complete understanding of the content. I'm not comfortable putting a label on something.
Well, how would you describe them? I mean, were these business texts?
No, these were, friendly communications. I don't want to put a label on it. They were communications between acquaintances or people that know each other. There was text message communication. As far as flirtations, I would have to take a look at the content of it for certain terms that would support that label.
Well, do you remember a text message exchange about a kiss that we shared?
Objection.
Sustained.
Do you remember any text message between the two of them that suggested a romantic interest, either one of them may have had based on the text messages?
Objection.
Sustained.
May we approach them?
Oh my God.
All right, Mr. Jackson, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I approach? Sergeant, I've handed you a document in addition to what's been marked as evidence, item 111. There's a document that's heavily redacted. Do you recognize, or do you see that document?
I do.
Do you see a word on that document?
Yes, I do.
Does that appear to be a redacted form of the document that is the same document or the same page or copy of that page that you saw this morning from those notes?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I'd like to have that marked as next in order, the redacted document with court's permission.
Okay.
And with court's permission,
Hold on.
Sure.
Your Honor, may I, with court's permission, put a side by side of the single word that we discussed at sidebar from evidence item 111 and what's been marked as 114?
Is there an objection?
There is.
Yes. Not at this time, Mr. Jackson.
In your opinion, having seen those two words next to each other, do they appear to be the same or similar handwriting?
In my opinion, they appear very similar, yes.
Okay, thank you. May I approach one more time, Your Honor?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. So could you just flip through that briefly and tell me if you generally recognize?
I
what
agree,
that,
James. I don't think he regrets
Absolutely.
it at all. I think
I do.
Thank you, Sergeant. What is that document generally?
Generally, it appears to be screen
regrets
captures
5150
of
for
a
sure.
text message conversation.
Is that the document that you earlier referred to as having received from Brian Higgins?
It's a printout of the document, yes.
You saw something in electronic format, I take it,
Yes.
and you reviewed it on a computer.
Yes,
Did you receive the electronic file on a thumb drive or a CD or something like that?
I did.
Okay. And this appears to be a true and accurate representation of that electronic copy that you received from Brian Higgins.
To the best of my understanding, yes.
And is that document reflective of the text messages that Mr. Higgins indicated to you were between the string, as I use that word, between Brian Higgins and Karen Reed?
This is what was provided to the best of my understanding and now has been printed out.
Okay. With court's permission, I'd like to ask the witness to read the text messages that he was provided by Brian Higgins
So we're going to mark this
for identification only.
You're certainly not asking him to read this whole document.
I expect to.
I'm going to see counsel. All right, so jurors,
he can present his case.
really
however he
trying
wants.
to be
Yes, ma'am.
expeditious as we can be. So there is a big stack that messages here that are going to be marked as the next exhibit. And I have two instructions for you folks. First is, as I've told you before you consider any electronic communication in your deliberations, you must first find that it is more likely true than not that the person who authored or sent or created or transmitted the communication was in fact here, the defendant, or Brian Higgins. If you do not find that it is more likely true than not that Ms. Reed was the person who authored or created or transmitted the electronic communication, or Brian Higgins was the person who authored or created or transmitted the communication, then you may not consider that electronic communication at all in deciding your case. Now, if you do, if it gets past that and you do find that that burden has been met, these messages are not being offered to show the truth of the statement. They're simply to show that this information was in fact provided to the Mass State Police for their investigation. Those are the instructions. All right, with that, Mr. Jackson, go right ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate that.
Yes, I'm going to let the witness have that. Oh, he's got one. Oh, you know what, Chrissy, I'll take one back. The one for ID will now be the exhibit, and I'll take the other one.
Thank you. Sergeant Bukhenik, do you have a document in front of you that's been marked as Exhibit 115?
I do.
If you could, starting at the beginning, do those purport to be text messages between Brian Higgins and Karen Reed?
Yes, they are.
Does that printout accurately reflect what you received in electronic form from Brian Higgins during your interview?
Yes.
If you could start at the beginning and read the text string indicating the date of the text, if it's dated, who it's from, who it's to, and the content.
Yes, sir. The text messages begin Wednesday, January 12th at 8:27 p.m. Incoming text message to Brian Higgins' phone from Karen Reed. Hey, Brian, it's the weed whacker. The response is a question mark, followed by a picture of a six-pack of Smirnoff ice screwdriver and appears to be a package store cooler, followed by a YO response. And that is it for January 12th, Wednesday. You want me to continue? Sure.
Yes. May I have just a moment, Your Honor? Going back to the Smirnoff container, that was from whom and to whom? For the picture of the Smirnoff.
It appears it was from Brian Higgins to Cameron Reed.
Okay. If you could make sure to delineate from whom and to whom each text is
Every time?
okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, and go ahead and proceed.
Thursday, January 13th, 9:24 a.m. From Cameron Reed to Brian Higgins. Did you try those Smirnoff? There is a haha acknowledgement response to that text message by Brian Higgins. The next page, it's the same bubble, but continue on the next page. I will repeat. Did you try those Smirnoff screwdrivers? Question mark. I stopped at the Hilly for one last night. A Bitmoji showing teeth. That is sent from Cameron Reed to Brian Higgins.
If you could, and I hate to ask this of you, but if you could tell us who it's from before the content, for instance, from Cameron Reed to Brian Higgins, content. That would just be a little easier, I think,
Okay.
in flow.
The last one was from Cameron Reed. She stated, did you try those Smirnoff? And that she stopped by at the Hilly last night for one. From Brian Higgins to Cameron Reed, haha, followed by same person. How did you get my digits? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Cameron Reed to Brian Higgins, the Melissa and
Never
Lito
understood
show.
why they have to say
Brian Higgins to
every
Karen Reed.
fucking
Ha, ha.
exclamation point.
Brian Higgins to Cameron Reed. I thought you creeped John's phone. Brian Higgins to Cameron Reed. Ha, ha. Cameron Reed to Brian Higgins. No way, with an emoji, person holding an X in front of them. I was the last person in Greeter, Canton, who didn't have your pound sign, number sign. I think even Carrie has it.
I'm going to see counsel at sidebar for just a
You
minute.
don't have to read all the punctuation.
First, we're trying to make this easier for everybody to either read or listen to or look at. So we're just going to take a minute. We think that we have this document here. And also to make it a little bit easier for everybody, Sergeant Bukhenik, you do not have to describe the emojis. You don't have to say anything about what the pictures are, and you don't have to say the punctuation now that we'll be able to have it. But you are being asked to read which text is from whom. Maybe if we agree upon the color, you won't have to say that. Can there be an agreement with that, counsel?
We can do that. I'll stipulate the blue bubbles appear to be Mr. Kennedy.
And the gray.
Appear to be Mr. Text response.
Okay.
That's agreed.
All right. I appreciate that. So you can just read the screen or read what you have in front of you.
Do you want me to start at the beginning or?
No. Let's just start where you ended, if you could, please.
I
All right. Can we turn the
about
lights down? Can you see it,
that.
Sergeant, with the
Please
lights
don't
off?
start.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you.
I just don't give my personal number to anyone. How would Carrie have my number? Melissa had it. I actually don't know if Carrie does. It felt like everyone had it. Haha. I knew she did. Sorry you felt neglected. Haha. So no dice on the Smirnoff? I have not tried it. Saw it in the store the other day and thought of you.
Tells you a lot
laughed
about
out loud.
first impressions,
Don't give
right,
Carrie my
there,
digits.
reader?
Thought of me and everyone's grandfather. I won't give your digits to anyone. You don't like Carrie? I have no issues with Carrie. Just don't want her having my jack. Saving you as Karen, screwdriver, or weed whacker. Need to think about it a little. I'd prefer a weed whacker. That's the think about nicknames. We were tossing around the idea of a short vacay with the current show. Wanted to see if you were game. You don't have a say? Vacation? Where? I know. They need to happen organically. I'm the queen of nicknames. Was just going to rent a beach house in Fort Laud. Something quick and easy. I'm queen of vacays too. Always a good time. I'm going to Nashville next month, 19th through the 21st, for a benefit. One of our guys got shot in the head. You guys should come. So you claim. Advertisement.
Oh yeah, come.
Jesus. Is he alive?
We're celebrating
from
a guy who got
Massachusetts?
shot in the head.
Yes, he is alive. Not from MA. We were thinking late March. I guess a guy in his group is friends with Old Dominion band. Kid Rock's supposed to be there too. I have a tough time with country. I was a Kid Rock fan back in the day.
Right?
I agree. Of course you were. From Brockton. LOL. That's how I got my street cred. Funny. I did know you had any. LOL. Carrie said you tag along. No one would say that about me. How would I know? We all frequent the same watering hole. I don't know Carrie well. She talks about herself a lot, but I guess so does everyone. I don't ask questions, just make observations,
What was
assess,
that?
and decide.
Hold on.
But I guess so.
I don't know Carrie well. She talks about herself a lot. Was this about Carrie Roberts? Because boy, did she call that. Carrie Roberts is still talking about herself, as I brought up earlier.
Does everyone. I don't ask questions, just make observations, assess, and decide. I am quiet. That's a good policy. You can read most people in a few minutes. Excuse me, mins. Yep, for sure. You go out with last night? Myself. I only had a drink and a half. Sadly, I know everyone at this point. Lame. Why is that bad? BC. That's how much I go in there. What do you do for work? I've never had a problem going to bar/restaurant solo. I go there a little. I'm a college professor. Solo is cool. I was an adjunct previously. Oh, really? Did you mention that? Anna Maria, Quincy College, and BHCC. I teach afternoons and work downtown during the day. What is BHCC? University of Southern Charleston, a.k.a. Bunker Hill Community College. Oh, nice. Trust is life. Line from Good Will Hunting in the classroom at BHCC. Funny, a savant from Brockton. I'm not making fun of BHCC. My parents met at community college. Followed river rights. You're very random.
Next
How
time.
so? You just are. I don't think so. What's random? Haha. I had no idea who this was last night, for a few minutes anyways. I mean, what's random about me? I think I'm pretty predictable. How so? You must go around beeping at a lot of weed whackers, excuse me. Nope, never. It was my
Gotcha, Dar.
one-time thing.
It could have pertained to Carrie Roberts anyways.
It sounds like I'm scattered and all over the place.
And no,
I learned my
wait,
lesson.
hold on.
You have your shit together.
Bukake, shut up for a minute. Darvader, no, I didn't hear about this. Says, have you heard of a guy or the guy running for some kind of government position in Colorado? And he's admitted to homicidal tendencies. Yeah, that's a problem. And if that guy somehow gets elected, the people that voted for him, they have even more of a problem.
That was mortifying. I am still really sorry. Not completely, but for the most part, yes. Sure you are. One thing I don't think you was sensitive. When was I sensitive? To the weed whacking incident. I just snapped when I think guys are being creeps. Can't help it. I'm not a creep. No, you're not a creep. Nope. You're kind of a loner, which I used to be. Not really. I have a ton of buddies, but I only let a handful of friends in that I am tight with. So you think you got me figured out?
Picture.
Circle of trust. Yeah, I said loner, not loser. I assume you know a lot of people. You never really can figure anyone out completely. Your dad died when you were young? He died in March of 2020.
For sure, Dar.
I am so not a loser. You won't figure me out, LOL. No one is a loser. I just didn't mean loner to imply friendless. I'm sorry, that's recent. It wasn't COVID, was it? Cancer. I know you date girls who don't lock the house behind them, and you arrive private and observant. I'm sorry, what kind? Lung, brain, kidney, and pelvis. How do you know all these things? LOL. You're funny. Yikes. Wow. That's rough. Jesus. I'm sorry. We chat a lot at the hillside. Don't be sorry. Life is hard sometimes. I always figure out who chats. Life is hard, but losing people is the hardest. So I'm sorry. WeChat. That all you got? WeChat? Sure, you're from Brockton. Spit it out. You and I chatted about the girl who kept forgetting the door lock. Oh, she has been out of play for like 3 months now.
Hey, Malin.
Out of rotation? Nah, just out of play. I am solo, no rotation. I am not a hoe. Solo? Solo, like no rotation, or woman for that matter. Not locked down. Haha. Good for you. That's the best way to be. Yep. Have benefits for sure. Are you working? Remotely. Oh, tough life. Live like a queen. I just got a Saturday invite. Did you say yes? Not yet, but did respond. What did you say, Mr. Elusive? No, I just don't want to intrude on your couples night. Haha. I am shy. We prefer to hang out with non-couples. Bob Gallery is probably coming too, solo. We'll probably do cars or something at some point. Some PT, excuse me. I'm inviting you. Haha. John said, quote, Brian is being wishy-washy now, end quote. Haha. Did you tell him to text me? No. You cranky now? Haha, no. Just stop being so anti-couples. Most couples don't even like each other. Name a few. Name a few. I don't know. All of them? They all want to hang out with single people? I need a drink. I had a blueberry beer. I'm jealous. Hey, I'm trying to menu plan for Saturday, Mr. Elusive. Don't count on me. Boo. Haha. I am sure you will get over it. Just got my first drink. Where? Brick House.
I brought up how many fucking times Higgins uses ha ha as a response when I went over Officer John O'Keefe's and Higgins' texts. I thought it was weird how many times he would respond with that, with that response. And here he does it so many more times. I truly understand why that one, the mango, Rotten Mango host calls Higgins ha ha Higgins, because he literally says ha ha to everything. Oh my God.
Went on last night? I was just thinking about you. Haha. Yes, 4:30 a.m. came early this morning. Eek, that's early. You out late with the Commodores? Solo? Yeah, but you're always lining up your after party. Nope, not me. Selective. I am not a hoe. Hey, no judgment. Haha, you make me laugh. I know, I'm funny. Haha. What's on your mind? Nada. Just about to start cooking. Okay. What's on yours? I'm going to a Hillside Regulars 60th tomorrow. This could be a new low for me.
Detective, if I could interrupt 1 second. When there is a date that's delineated, could you just state the date out loud so the jurors follow the date progression?
Starting
with the next one.
I'm saying the next text message date, or
Yes, sir.
date within?
Where the
Yes,
above or
absolutely.
below the bubbles.
Yep. So this screen here is Friday, January 13th at 3:33 p.m.
Thank you.
I believe I stopped before Bob Clinton. Everybody can't stand him. I detest him. His breath smells like ass. OMG, always. His daughter and I have mutual friends. I actually don't mind him when he's socially distant. I think he's friendly. Why detest? Yeesh. Talks like an ass clown. Maybe I'm being too hard. He just says crazy shit. Doesn't know his audience. Geez. Is he different from anyone else in there? Haha. His wife and daughter are cooler than he is. I like his wife. Never met the daughter. A nurse? Yes. Her fiance is a firefighter. By coincidence with people I grew up with. Crazy. Sunday, January 16th, 12:59 a.m. You're nuts. Foul ball. You stink. You suck. And you're double trouble. You're hot. Are you serious or messing with me? No, I'm serious. Feeling is mutual. Is that bad? How long have you thought that? Are you okay driving? You don't want to stay here? I am fine. I have an office at the PD. You didn't answer the question. Rather you stay here? I wish. I think you're messing with me. Why do you think that? Because this is so out of left field. Where did these feelings come from? I just think you're like me. Meaning, do you have your own kids? I have no kids. How am I like you? Hello? Aren't we alike? I think so. So why did you get my number and reach out to me? Shoot straight with me. I told you, I just think we're alike, right? Yes, agree. Now what? I don't know. Shouldn't you know? Do you like me? Yes, from jump. When was jump? First time I saw you. When was that? Hillside for sure. When were you interested? I don't know. You're just my type. You think you can handle me? I thought you were happy. How do you know if I'm happy? I just assumed. Are you to handle? What do you like about me? I just feel like you're from my neighborhood. Yeah, ditto. And I think you're hot.
Oh, awkward.
You really think that? I have always thought that about you. What? That you're hot, smart, witty. But I didn't think you were interested. Witty. Yeah, meaning quick with a response. Tell me why you got my number and reached out to me. Just thought we were the same, from the same neighborhood. Are you afraid to say what's in your mind? On? No. Didn't I? I am glad I stopped by. I should have come earlier. Do you really live in Mansfield? Yeah, I was basically begging you. You don't have to beg. Huh? I will give you whatever you want. How are you texting right now? Ugh, leaving me hanging. No. Kids? Kinda. How am I texting? Is everyone asleep? I'm just wide awake on my phone. Yes, they are. I should have stayed, LOL. So now what? Yes, you should have. That would have been distracting. So no what? Now. Now what? Ball's in your court. What do you want? Loaded question. What do you want? I asked you. Nope. You initiated this. Spit it out. Hey, we're single and we don't have kids. We can do whatever we want. Don't you have a boyfriend? Where are you? Canton. Where? My office at the PD. Why are you going to Mansfield? Where is that? Canton PD. I have a house there from before I reconnected with John. Oh, I feel like you're not really saying what's on your mind. Do you like me? Yes, clearly. Come over to my house. When? When works for you? Whoever, whenever. When works for you? I asked you first. I think you're messing with me. I'm glad you came over tonight. Me too. Ball's in your court. What do you want, Karen? You look great tonight. I don't know. What do you want? You always do. Yeesh, really? Why? I look great? You're full of it. I think you're hot. I always have thought that. Just have not revealed my thoughts. I'm hot for the hillside. Low comps. Knock it off. You're hot, period. Are you glad you walked me out? Yes. Are you? Def. Yes. Are you going home tonight or tomorrow a.m.? We kiss, right? Is this a trick question? I don't know when I'm going home. I am selling my house. What a trick question. Are you moving to Canton? I am following your lead with this. I live here, but I have a property in Enfield. Why my lead? I don't want any responsibility. You started this, right? Why did you get my number and each out of me and each out to me? Still have not told me. Sorry, should I not have? I am fine with it. Just don't know why you can't answer. You're mad at me? OMG. No, not at all. You're being silly. I told you. I just think you're like me and I am attracted to you a lot. Feelings mutual. I just never saw this coming. Why? Because I just assumed you were happy with your situation. I was, but things have deteriorated. Why? How so? What did Melissa say when you asked for my number? It is very, very complicated. He and I dated when we were kids, and then his sister died and everything got fucked up. He seemed very into you. I just told Melissa that I had your number, but lost it. That's cute. She wasn't suspicious? No, she's great. Does she know you like me? She's a sweetie. We just agreed that you're great. What does that mean? I was jealous that she had your number. Look, like you're either all in or you're out. Why would you be jealous? I am not attracted to her at all. I have always been attracted to you. Really? Yes. Since the first time I saw you, we would have fun. Where are you? I told you, Canton PD, my office. So are you selling your place and moving to Meadows? Yeah, but where is that? I have had all my shit here for a couple of years, and my house has been vacant, but I'd like to get closer to the water. Are you breaking up or staying together? I don't know. He hooked up with another girl on vacation. I am very close to his niece. It is a very fucked up situation. When was that? And how did you find out he hooked up? I don't want to complicate your situation. We went away for New Year's, the four of us. I put the kids to bed and found him in the lobby of our hotel, all over one of our friends. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It does matter. Did they bang? Does that matter? Sorry, I was just asking. I was just trying to figure shit out. It doesn't really matter. Okay, I won't ask again. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Okay, hear you loud and clear, Karen. Oh, okay. Why are you getting your thing all twisted up over simple questions, Don? I am not, am I? You're kind of getting defensive. Not at all. What is the question? Do you feel guilty texting me? No. Okay. What do you want from me? Nothing. Do you want anything from me? I would hang out. Oh, gee, thanks. OMG. What am I supposed to say? You're being tough on me. None of us is married. True. So game on? We can say whatever we want. Game on? You sent mixed messages. I wish I stayed. Okay, game on then. Kinda. Can you hang? Sure. I hope you toss and turn tonight. I always do. Why? Why'd you say that? I just do. Why? Because you're fresh. No, I'm not. Okay. Do you always get what you want? Be sweet to me, please. I could be so sweet. I've been very sick. I had colon cancer and 10 surgeries in 18 months. I'm a wreck. I had no idea. Are you okay now? I never get what I want, just what I need. I am okay. What do you need? What need to be content? What can I do to make you happy? Haha, don't worry. I've always been very happy. You're talking riddles. Just tell me why you contacted me, huh? What's the big deal? I told you. Just think you're like me. What does that mean? Like you want to hang with me? You asked why I contacted you. Yes. Excuse me. Yeah, I did ask. We are attracted to each other, right? Reasonable question. Yes, 100%. Okay. We did kiss earlier. No? I think you initiated that. No? Yep. Do I owe you an apology? OMG. No. Why are you being sensitive? I am not. Kinda. No. Excuse me. Never. What do you want from me? What's on the table? What do you want ideally? The real deal. Sunday, January 16th, 7:37 a.m. Doesn't exist. Haha. Sunday, January 16th, 5:53 p.m. So you like Hennessy XO? Sunday, January 16th, 7:15 p.m. I am hurting so bad. Yeah, me too. The Currens went after it again at noon today. No way. This was about 2 hours before you came over. Haha. I am heading for drinks soon. Really? Yeah. Tuesday, January 18th, 5:09 p.m. What's on tap? Haha. What does that mean? Usually means, what are you up to? Cute. I just wrapped work. Unpacking some groceries. You? What's on tap? Also unpacking crap for my car. Anything good? Nothing on tap. Shame. You were ghost yesterday. I can't be the cruise director every day. Shame. Julie McCoy? Wish I was at my cave house in front of the fire sipping a drink. Wish I knew how to use my fireplace. From Love Boat. How old is your bad self? Haha, that was my guess. 42 next month. I know the Love Boat. I was more Brady Bunch. Haha, what day? 226. Nice. You're just a tad poke. Pole. Got ya. When is the next party? Pole. Oops. It's all relative. What pole and poke? I'd have a party every weekend if it were up to me. No. 42 equals tadpole. Oh. I keep reminding myself that aging is a privilege. The better parties are at my house. No kids. Why are they better? Well, first, BC, there's no kids. You were ghost yesterday. Thought I heard the last of you. Phones work both ways. I don't want to disturb you, or you could be otherwise engaged. I don't know your routine. I didn't use the word engaged, did I? Huh? Engaged? As like doing something with someone? Yes, that's what I thought you meant. Are you being fresh today? No. Now that you sobered up. Haha. I felt sober next to everyone else on Saturday. Good point. You're still trouble. Haha. Why am I?
Can you imagine being Bukake having to read all these?
Just playing with you. What is that? Whiskey with a big ice cube. What kind of whiskey? Jameson, right? Cherry in middle. What good does that do? Are you in W Rocks? So good, yeah. Do you have a 4:30 a.m. bell tomorrow? Why do you ask? Trying to figure out how many whiskeys you're going to have? Depends. I don't restrict myself from having fun. How many Hennessy XOs you having? None. I have none at my house. Haha. I am not really trouble. Want me to pick you up next time I go to the base? Usually cheaper and tax-free. Just a little based on your conduct. The base? Military base. I go through the Henny fast. I shop there a lot. I can as a veteran. My conduct? I'm not married. I'm the only one who does everything right. What kind of veteran? Where is the base? Dude, chillax. Teasing you. Are you serious? Veteran from Iraq. I can go to any base, but usually hands come in Bedford or down the Cape. Which base down the Cape? Which branch? Army. I'm not abnormally sensitive. Join base Cape Cod. I won't be so hard on you. Oh my God, you're not. You called me trouble. That makes me sound bad. I was just playing with you. You weren't, but that's okay. Stop being sensitive, please. I am not. Okay, so what's up? Did you figure out how many whiskeys? You mean tonight? Yes. Not sure. I am flexible and adaptable. Why are you so curious? Are you drinking? I haven't had a drink yet. Just want to see what you're up. Looking for an influencer. My day was long. Influenced? How? Are you in Canton or Mansfield tonight? Influenced to have a drink, even though it's Tuesday, in Mansfield. How often do you stay there? Is it a nice crib, house, or condo? I stay here once or twice a week. House. I guess it's nice. I like it. How long have you owned it? How many beds? Rooms? 2017 or 18? 5 bedrooms. What? Why?
All right. Well, that's a good place to stop talking about her house. Today, we've gone through another 3 hours of Bukake testimony, and I think it's the perfect time to call it a day. I am going to go back live probably later and go over the Carrie Roberts interview as I feel like getting heavy this evening. So I hope to see you guys all then. Thank you guys so much for being here. As always, I truly appreciate you. I love you all, and I will see you later this evening. Bye, guys.